we need discovery so people can discover shows.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, May 2nd, 2019. This is your award-winning Gitmo Nation Media Assassination, episode 1134.
This is No Agenda.
Nudging the neocons and broadcasting live from the frontier of Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where nobody knows who William Barr is, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Of course people know who he is.
No.
I think. Yes.
Went out to the street and asked. I don't think anyone would know.
No. What'd they all say? Nah, never heard of the guy.
Well.
Yes.
William Barr testified.
Well, he was a witness.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you saw it. I saw it. We all saw it. Initial impressions.
I have clips. You have clips.
Actually, I don't have any clips from that itself. I thought it was personally, I thought it was kind of a poor performance by Barr. I
loved it. I thought it was a great performance by Barr.
I thought he looked, he didn't have answers fast, and he was trying to look cool. He didn't quite look cool. I don't know. I can see the perception where he came across as, in fact, in some cases, somewhat unprepared.
I thought he was very prepared.
Okay, we disagree, but you have the clips, so let's go.
And I have the clips. The thing is, the Washington Post, that's where I was laughing before the show, they went on and on and on, slamming him, pretty much the way you are.
I was not slam. Stop. I did not slam.
You're slamming him.
I did not slam him. I didn't do anything.
Butt slam!
I just said, I was like, it didn't seem that great. I didn't think it was a good performance.
Oh, I thought it was fantastic. And then today, apparently, he said, actually, let's start off with the reason he's not going to do the, supposedly today is supposed to go to the Nadler committee in the House.
Is this another public hearing, or is it behind? Yeah. Oh, public one. Okay.
And he said, no, I'm not doing it. And the reason he's not doing it, he said it very clearly at the beginning of the of his
testimony.
Well, it wasn't a testimony. He just said it at the beginning of his discussion of whether he's going to do Nadler, because he's not going there to be grilled by a bunch of attorneys. He wants to be grilled by the Congress men and women. And Nadler, no. We're no good. Apparently, Nadler felt that there wasn't any good for the people on the committee to talk to him. That he has to bring in some professional.
Oh,
questions.
Okay. I didn't realize this. So they're going to bring in legal experts to question him on aspects of the law.
I guess they're gonna.
That's great.
They're going to grill him.
No, I didn't realize that. Oh, this is good. Okay, that's interesting.
This is not good because he's not going to do it.
Well, okay.
Late last night, he said that. No, I already said. He says, I already said I'm not going to be questioned by some professional attorneys that just came in there to ask me a bunch of random questions.
Right.
I'm either going to be asked questions by the congressman or I'm not going to be asked questions by anybody. But meanwhile, Nadler paid zero attention to this and ramrodded through the idea that, we're going to have at least our attorney ask him a bunch of questions. And if I was Barr and I heard what I'm about to play, which is the Nadler committee going back and forth on this, I would probably not want to go to this committee either. Just listen to this.
A reporting quorum being present, the question is on the adoption of the motion.
Is this the one? The chaos selection?
This is the Nadler. Yeah, that's Nadler going. Nadler's ramrodding this idea through, and he's not listening to the Republicans.
Okay.
And it became a fiasco.
Okay.
Reporting quorum being present, the question is on the adoption of the motion. Pursuant to House Rule 11, Clause 2J2C. Those in favor say aye.
Mr. Chairman.
Opposed, no.
Mr. Chairman.
The ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman.
The ayes have it. The motion is
Mr.
agreed.
Chairman, I seek recognition.
The motion is agreed to.
You won't recognize members of the committee?
Unless
who want to speak on
Hello, Ram, meet Rod.
this motion?
Does anyone wish to ask for a recorded vote?
Mr. Chairman, I've asked for recognition.
The clerk
We're not allowing
Clerk will report
Republicans.
the result.
If you're not Republicans,
We
we're not
didn't
allowing
vote on the
Republicans to
question.
debate this motion.
Clerk will
You're making it a
ashamed of?
kangaroo court here. We ought to be going by the rules and giving
Clerk will
people a
report the
chance to
result.
debate. No wonder the AG doesn't want to come here and testify when you're running things without regard for debate.
Gentlemen,
Totally unfair.
we're in the middle of a vote. The clerk will report the result.
Mr. Chairman,
We get no amendments. Hold on just a second. The ranking, point of personal, point of
Clerk
inquiry.
will report the
Parliamentary
results.
inquiry.
Yes.
Regular order, the parliamentary inquiry will be entertained after the clerk reports the result.
Mr. Chairman,
Clerk will report the result, and then we will. Do you want the ayes to call the roll?
Roll call.
I'm sorry.
Oh, wait a minute. So let me just understand what's happening. He said this is what we're going to do, and he just ramrodded through even though there were objections. Is that what I'm hearing here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then not only that, but it's a very out of control committee.
Yeah.
It's like Nadler has no
No control. No. He's got to bang that gravel.
Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman,
We've already asked for it.
I thought you recognized the gentleman from Florida for an amendment.
Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Chairman, you said you were going to
Clerk will
recognize
call the
Mr.
roll.
Gates for an amendment.
Mr. Chairman, move the table.
Mr. Chairman, I move to amend.
Mr. Chairman,
I move to adjourn.
We're in the middle of a roll. We're in the middle
No,
of
we're not.
No, we were in the middle of debate,
We're in the debate.
and you ended it without the question being
Chairman,
called.
I was in the
and
middle
without
of
a
offering
chance
an
for
amendment.
debate.
Mr. Chairman, I move
Said
to
you would-
adjourn.
regular order.
Regular order is putting the motion to
One
adjourn.
amendment.
That's a privileged motion.
Motion
Chairman, I
to
move to
adjourn.
adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
The motion to adjourn is not in order in the middle of a roll call.
Well, the roll has not been called yet.
We were in the middle of
Ayes
debate,
and nays.
and you didn't allow it.
I was in the middle of offering an amendment. Mr. Chairman?
The ayes and nays.
You'd recognize the man.
Mr.
for-
Chairman,
Well, you don't really have to step on it with that guy. But this is why would you go to this committee?
No, if that's a preview, no, of course you won't go there. I'm wondering, will we come to blows like we've seen, in Japan?
I wish.
we need some of that where someone just jumps over the dais and just starts wailing on somebody. I wonder.
No, Nadler's committee is completely, obviously out of control. And, of course, the Washington Post doesn't report on that. I don't know anybody that reported on this.
I didn't even hear about it.
Yeah, it was wild. It kept going on and on, by the way.
That's great. Good catch.
Now, the classic, I got 1, 2, 3, I think I have 4 clips with Barr discussing things with
before you do that, let me do a little entremont. I was watching a number of different screens, and something happened pretty much in the beginning and then later on, an hour later, that I have not seen, that I can recall on the mainstream news channels. Typically, when there's a session like this, they just let it all run. At the end, they come in, they've got all their pundits. CNN, I think, had 9 people, 9 people in the semicircle. MSNBC did something new. They broke into the hearing. Have you ever seen that, where there's a hearing of some importance and then they break away to comment on it before it's over?
Why?
So, no collusion, no coordination, no conspiracy between the Trump campaign and the Russian government regarding the 2016 election. You have to have specific intent to obstruct justice. If there's no underlying crime...
We're reluctant to do this. We rarely do. But the chairman of the Judiciary Committee just said that Mueller found there was no collusion. That is not correct. Nicole Wallace, the report says collusion is not a thing they considered. It doesn't exist in federal code.
And what's stunning is that Lindsey Graham is offering answers to questions that aren't on the table today. The question on the table today, after the reporting last night, is why did Barr mischaracterize what was actually in the Mueller report? And I'm sorry, Lindsey Graham, but your defensiveness is showing. To talk about everything that went into it and in the next breath distort it is a stunning mischaracterization of what the whole exercise is supposed to be about. Reveals what I talked about before, that he is sitting there today not as the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, but as a human shield for Donald Trump, and it would appear William Barr.
Again, we try to offer just gavel-to-gavel coverage, but that phrase, or the lack of it, its absence from federal code, this no collusion mantra, is so foundational to why we're here today that we decided to flag it when we heard him use it yet again. Back into the chairman and the committee room.
So that was 10 minutes into it, and I've never heard anyone do that. They jump in. Oh no, that's not true. That's not. They're sitting there just yelling. Yeah.
It's like all this was about was collusion.
Oh no, that's not a legal term. So Lindsey Graham, the human shield for Trump, is just that. A human shield. And they did it again an hour later.
We want to correct some of the record against, of all things, what it says.
And by the irony of Brian Williams popping in to correct the record because someone didn't tell the truth is not lost on me.
We want to correct some of the record against, of all things, what it says.
I'm sorry. No, wait for the second clip. This is different here.
We want to correct some of the record against, of all things, what it says in the Mueller report. Nicole.
So I'm not going to dance around this. He's lying. He's lying about what the Mueller report finds around one of the critical flashpoints in the obstruction investigation.
So they broke in. Of course, after a Democrat finished asking a question, they go to a Republican. That's when they jumped in. And they have to jump in to say Barr is lying. They could not wait to do it afterwards and do a clip. I guess they feel that, and this is really what this whole hearing was about, at least what I saw, was, hey, you said this about the report, but it was really quite different. And then Mueller said, well, I wish you had shown those 19 pages. And then Barr said, yeah, I'm going to show all the pages. It was only about Barr's interpretation of the Mueller report and the 3 weeks in between the full report being released. That was the argument. That's all that it was about, the whole thing. And they have to jump in because, who's lying? The people will be confused. Very bizarre. Never seen that before that I can recall.
That's beyond bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
That's twisted.
But I liked it.
After we hear nothing but collusion for 2 years from the NBC and the media.
You can't.
How do all of a sudden anyone even brings it up? You got to jump in and say, hey, it's not a legal term. I mean, how does that work? We have the one little bit, any collusion.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we do all the time.
Any collusion?
We've had it everywhere. All right, back to the actual hearing.
Couple of things. Let's hear about this is Blumenthal going on and on because this is a little the discussion on the concept of exoneration, which apparently they made. Barr was kind of beside himself as to why Mueller put in he's not exonerated when it's not anything they do, and I think he explains it here pretty clearly.
The report says that they could not be sure that they could clearly say that he did not violate the law. As you know, that's not the standard we use in the criminal justice system. It's presumed that someone is innocent, and the government has to prove that they clearly violated. We're not in the business of exoneration. We're not in the business of proving they didn't violate the law.
But I found that whole passage very exonerated him in your press conference and in your 4-page summary.
How did that start? I didn't hear the beginning of the question.
You, in effect, exonerated or cleared the president.
No, I didn't exonerate. I said that we did not believe that there was sufficient evidence to establish an obstruction offense, which is the job of the Justice Department. And the job of the Justice Department is now over. That determines whether or not there's a crime. The report is now in the hands of the American people. Everyone can decide for themselves. There's an election in 18 months. That's a very democratic process. But we're out of it. And we have to stop using the criminal justice process as a political weapon.
My time has expired. I apologize, Mr. Chairman, but I would just say that the 4-page letter And the press conference that you did left the clear impression, and it's been repeated again and again, that you cleared the president.
Thank you, Senator Ernst.
You did it, Barr. You're going down in history as a liar.
Yeah, he did clear the president because that's his job. Who's supposed to clear the president if it's not him? He's the attorney general.
Yeah.
And Mueller was working in the attorney general's office.
Yep.
So he cleared the presidents.
Yeah.
And that's what he did.
Yeah.
What's he supposed to do?
No, he was supposed to not do that. Clearly, Brian Williams thinks differently. And Nicole Wallace. Yeah.
Nicole Wallace. They should throw her in jail.
Why? What did she do?
This is like Blumenthal. This is a classic example, I think, where people didn't like this Barr's testimony, because this is a short clip on Blumenthal on recusal.
My recollection is
Wait, stop. Let me get a little background. First, there's a number of spin-off cases that came out of this. I think there's 12 to 14 of them. Mm-hmm. And Barr, according to Blumenthal, should recuse everybody. Apparently, everybody should recuse themselves because there's there's no real reason, but they just should. And so Barr is being grilled by Blumenthal about his, I guess, built-in prejudice.
Oh, right. Yes, the Barr should
the president.
Yes,
and I just thought this was a good clip of where Barr just says no.
My recollection is I have not discussed those, but you don't recall for sure.
Let me move on.
I can say very surely I did not discuss the substance of it.
Will you recuse yourself from those investigations?
No.
No.
So that would be like, this came, and every once in a while they'd ask him a question, he'd say no, and they'd all be, what? He was not agreeable.
No.
Another one is just a definition of White House was all over him with his. White House is, the guy from Rhode Island who thinks it's going to be flooded because of global warming any minute.
Mm-hmm.
He's always like hunched over with his head tilted like at about 45 degrees. And he's always talking sideways. And he's very low to the dais, and he's way down, and he's got his mic way down, and he's cocked, and he's talking to him. And so he had his chance to get out of the continuous dead end questions and answers, which I think is what probably people found was boring about the whole thing. But he talks about spying, and I thought the spying thing was quite good, this little back and forth with the White House.
You used the word spying about authorized DOJ investigative activities.
Are you talking about my testimony before the House Appropriations?
Yes.
Okay.
In the entirety of your previous career in the Department of Justice, including as Attorney General, have you ever referred to authorized department investigative activities officially or publicly as spying? I'm not asking for private conversation.
No, I'm not going to abjure the use of the word spying. I think, my first job was in CIA, and I don't think the word spying has any pejorative connotation at all. To me, the question is always whether or not it's authorized and adequately predicated spying. I think spying is a good English word that, in fact, doesn't have synonyms because it is the broadest word incorporating really all forms of covert intelligence collection. So I'm not going to back off the word spying, except I will say I'm not suggesting any pejorative, and I use it frequently, as do media.
When did you decide to use it? Was it off the cuff in the hearing that day, or did you go into that hearing intending to use the word spying?
It was actually off the cuff.
Whoever it was, go ahead.
Yeah, when he challenged me and said, "You want to change your language?" I was actually thinking, like, what's the issue? I don't consider it a pejorative. And frankly, we went back and looked at press usage, and up until all the FAW outrage a couple of weeks ago, it's commonly used in the press to refer to authorized activities, such as referring to the FISA court as the spy court.
Department.
What?
It is not commonly used by the department. My time is
commonly used by me.
I tried to get some answers on this. I didn't really get a definitive answer if it's common to say spying or not.
It's used by him.
Yes.
The way he sees it. He's old school.
Yeah, well, and I talked to some old schoolers, and I was like, yeah, I guess. And no one really felt that was wrong, but I guess they don't
the
really.
White House did.
Yeah, well, of course.
He's very upset by
Well,
this.
of course, because once Barr dives into it, if he's actually going to do that, Mueller has gotten all the guilty people out. Everyone who was guilty of spying is now out. God knows where they are. And Barr's going in, he says, to see if he can find out the origins of this. And there was spying. Yeah. Of course there was spying.
Of course there was spying. That's what Trump said when he was ridiculed.
Forget that. It's what we do.
This is what Trump said when he was ridiculed.
Yes, but it's still what we do. We spy. We spy on everybody.
Yeah, that's why I don't understand why it was such a big fuss.
Well, you're not supposed to spy on American citizens. That's fuss-worthy.
I think we've documented that's not true.
What's not true?
Right. It goes to Zephyr.
What do you mean? Of course it's true.
I think we've documented that
spying on American citizens is not illegal.
No, we've documented. You said we're not supposed to, and I said we've documented that that's not true. We do it.
Oh, okay. Yes.
I mean, it was just one of the recent shows where they were documenting how if you're. I can't remember what the clip was, but it's quite funny. It was Gina talking about how we spy on Americans. Durbin tried to corner Barr with ethics. There's this ethics thing that they keep trying to say. Well, there's an ethics committee that's attached to the Justice Department. And apparently, if you have any issues with maybe some ethical thing, you got to recuse yourself. They really want this guy out of the picture.
Yeah,
and so Durbin found some setup where Barr did ask for a opinion from this ethics group, which he didn't necessarily have to do. And Durbin's all over it, saying that he knows that he's in the wrong and he should be recusing himself. And then Barr kind of weasels out of it with a very, very elegant job, leaving Durbin just flat-footed. I just thought this was a very good back and forth. It's a little long.
I'd like to ask you a separate issue. It's been reported that on April 16th, you received a waiver to participate in the investigation and litigation of the so-called 1MDB matter. This is an investigation into a Malaysian company.
I didn't understand that the first time I heard it. The 1MDB matter? Do you know what that is? What that refers to?
Yeah, this is the company that's out of Malaysia that's their name. And they're the ones who are supposedly money laundering through the Trump inaugural.
This is what the libjos are all
Trump
about.
Inaugural is the big hope of hopes amongst the Democrats that this is how they're going to get Trump because somehow he had something to do with it when there's no evidence.
Is that the Logan Act or the Hatch Act or the?
No. This is just a corruption. Money laundering.
Yes. Of course, makes nothing but sense.
On April 16th, you received a waiver to participate in the investigation and litigation of the so-called 1MDB matter. This is an investigation into a Malaysian company for alleged money laundering. According to news reports, as part of this investigation, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of New York is investigating whether a Malaysian national illegally donated to the Trump Inaugural Committee with money taken from 1MDB. You sought a waiver to participate in this matter, even though your former law firm, Kirkland & Ellis, represents an entity involved in the investigation, namely Goldman Sachs. How many waivers have you received to allow you to participate in matters or investigations involving Trump businesses, the Trump campaign, or the Trump Inaugural Committee?
None.
You did seek a waiver in this case?
Actually, the impetus, as I recall, and people should jump me if I'm wrong, but it didn't come from...
He said that a lot. Instead of people should jump in, he kept saying people should jump
me.
But he kept saying that.
No, he only said it twice.
Well, I heard it a couple times, but isn't it people should jump in instead of jump me? You don't want to have people jump you.
Why? I have no idea what he's just like his little phrase. Yeah, people should jump me.
Hey, jump me. Yeah, jump me.
Or the Trump Inaugural Committee?
None.
You did seek a waiver in this case?
Actually, the impetus, as I recall, and people should jump me if I'm wrong, but it didn't come from me. I was asked to seek a waiver in this case.
Do you see the problem if the issue is whether or not a money laundering operation in Malaysia is sending money to the Trump Inaugural Committee that as Attorney General of the United States you may not want to involve yourself in this?
No, I don't.
I don't, because I was not involved with the inaugural.
Why would you seek a waiver then to participate in this?
The waiver was, I guess the conflict was not because of any relationship I had to the inaugural committee, which I didn't.
No, it's the Goldman Sachs, your former client.
No, it's Kirkland Ellis, the law firm.
Right, and their client, Goldman Sachs. I just don't understand why you would touch that hot stove.
Well, that's a good...
You sought the waiver. That's why I'm asking the question.
The criminal division actually asked me to get a waiver because of the importance of this investigation overall. I was requested by the criminal division. I didn't seek it. The impetus did not come from me.
And who would that be that made that recommendation to you?
I am told it was the criminal division.
Mr. Benchikowski?
He was the head of the criminal division, but apparently they discussed it with the career ethics official, and they made the recommendation.
Thank you.
Yeah, that went flat.
Yeah, he tried to get something out. There was a couple of people did that. Kamala Harris I didn't get any clips, but she has a very interesting style where she just asks a question, cuts it off, says yes or no. That's a yes or no question. And she has that resting bitch face. I think it plays well for fans of hers.
I don't know. I didn't think she had anything to prove.
No, she has nothing to prove, but it's a media show. The whole thing is a media show, as usual.
Yeah.
Do you have more?
Nah, I did have a bunch of Klobuchar clips because she was kind of like the same. She's very similar to Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Same thing. But the funny thing about it, if you listen to it's too long because they give them 6 minutes plus on these opening questions.
Mm-hmm.
She does this thing. It is kind of amusing to look back on it. Klobuchar has these two bills before Congress. One has got something to do with it's both. They're all kind of conflict of interest bills that have to do with these some various situations that are everybody agrees or needs to be fixed. That's summarizing. And so she starts off asking about these things just to kind of promote her bill. And then she says, "Can you help us? Can you help us? Help us? Help us?" Says, "Yeah, I can help you. I think so." And then she goes on and, "Can you help us? Help us? Help us?" And yeah, I think so. And then she drills into the guy with these really insulting questions. I'm thinking, what kind of help is she going to expect after this? It was just the stupidest thing I've ever witnessed. And anyone can watch the entire Klobuchar Q&A with this guy. It's pretty baffling.
Well,
some of these people aren't too bright.
Well, it's again just a sideshow, big sideshow. Glad everybody watched it and is all upset about it. I like the media.
Well, I don't understand why they would interrupt it just to
because they're that
second guess the testimony or the
no, it's not second guessing.
Lindsey Graham.
No, it's not second guessing. Nicole Wallace is an attorney. She knows things.
That's another clip I didn't get. Which I'll just reiterate. I could have had this clip. Barr's being grilled by one of these guys, and he says, "Don't you think that all the pundits and newsmen and lawyers and attorneys have all disagreed with many of your conclusions?" And Barr says, "I've never run into any two attorneys that agree on anything."
I saw that too. Well, here is attorney Chris Cuomo. He's a lawyer. And this kind of helps us understand why Brian Williams and Nicole Wallace and others are just so nutty about it. In their own minds, they're conflating and they're mixing up different processes, different bodies within the U.S. government. I mean, just everything. And the guy's a lawyer, so you think he would kind of know how it works. And he had on former Attorney General Michael Mukasey, which he should have known better, honestly, Cuomo.
Consider this. He's being investigated for a crime that didn't happen and that he certainly didn't commit.
Who says it didn't happen? Russian interference happened.
Russian interference happened, for sure. But cooperation and conspiracy between the Trump campaign and the Russians did not happen. And that was
to a criminal level, no, says Mr. Mueller.
To any level.
I don't know about any level, but to criminal level.
I do.
I'll give you.
Okay. And there's an investigation going on, not for a month or 6 months, but for 2 years, close to 2 years. And his administration is laboring under the shadow of that investigation. And people alleging that it happened, there are going to be indictments and so on and so forth.
But this is a special counsel, and it was put together by Rosenstein because he wanted it separate from the DOJ because of what he saw as potential.
It's not separate from the DOJ.
I know.
It's within the DOJ.
But as a mechanism, separate. I know it's under the DOJ. I understand how the guidelines are written. I understand why they were written because we didn't like what the independent counsel was.
It's not just the guidelines. We have 3 branches of government.
I understand.
This is within the executive.
I understand.
We don't sprout a new branch of government.
But what your friend did is not just...
Oh, what's this? It's a new branch of government just for Cuomo. Yeah, this new branch. They can do stuff.
Government. This is within the executive.
I understand.
We don't sprout a new branch of government.
But what your friend did is not just by the book. He took it on himself to decide this rule. He didn't have to do that.
Of course he had to do it.
Why?
Who was going to decide whether to indict or not?
Congress. As a political matter. Leave it to them.
Congress.
They decide whether to impeach.
Just go back and just listen to Chris Cuomo's answer, and then this guy's going to...
Wait, hold on a second before you do this. I think you should consider, maybe play the clip again. What is Chris Cuomo's job on this show? Is Chris Cuomo a guy who's bringing people on to help us understand things? Or is he trying to ramrod his personal opinion down the public's throat? And his personal opinion, by the way, reflective of CNN and MSNBC for that matter, the higher ups in these organizations. I mean, why is he arguing with the guy to such an extent? Because he has a law degree that he's not a practicing lawyer.
Remember, this is the same guy that said you're not allowed to look at WikiLeaks. That's only for journalists.
I have that clip.
You have it here?
Yeah.
Where is it?
Well, what he says is he says it's illegal to possess stolen documents unless you're the media, and he implies that it's impossible for the public to go and look at WikiLeaks. Now, I want to, before you play that, although I'd rather you play the other clip all from the beginning.
Okay.
Let's play the other clip from the beginning, then I want to front load this other clip.
Consider this. He's being investigated for a crime that didn't happen and that he certainly didn't commit.
Who says it didn't happen? Russian interference happened.
Russian interference happened, for sure. But cooperation and conspiracy between the Trump campaign and the Russians did not happen. And that was
to a criminal level, no, says Mr. Mueller.
To any level.
I don't know about any level, but to criminal level.
I do.
I'll give you.
Okay. And there's an investigation going on, not for a month or 6 months, but for 2 years, close to 2 years. And his administration is laboring under the shadow of that investigation. And people alleging that it happened, there are going to be indictments and so on and so forth.
But this is a special counsel, and it was put together by Rosenstein because he wanted it separate from the DOJ because of what he saw as potential.
It's not separate from the DOJ.
I know.
It's within the DOJ.
But as a mechanism, separate. I know it's under the DOJ. I understand how the guidelines are written. I understand why they were written because we didn't like what the independent counsel was.
It's not just the guidelines. We have 3 branches of government.
I understand.
This is within the executive.
I understand.
We don't sprout a new branch of government.
But what your friend did is not just by the book. He took it on himself to decide this rule. He didn't have to do that.
Of course he had to do it.
Why?
Who was going to decide whether to indict or not?
Congress. As a political matter. Leave it to them.
They decide whether to impeach or not.
And Mike,
they don't decide.
You're skipping the big point, which you taught me about very early on.
The big point.
They can't indict him. That is the opinion from the OLC. So there is nothing to decide on that level. It is purely political. It always
Congress
would be.
Doesn't indict. Congress can impeach.
I know. I'm using it as just a metaphor. Here. But we know because we know the
big
OLC.
Audience.
We know the OLC says
it's getting smaller by the minute
you
now.
You can't indict.
I don't know if you could hear that in the background. He's saying you got a huge audience, and this is getting smaller every minute, though.
He said, "Oh man,
yeah,
he'll never come back."
Hold on, you got to hear that. It's right at the end. Hold on, shoot, it's not that important. Okay, now your Cuomo clip.
Well, so Cuomo has got, and I have to say, when I heard this clip, and I don't have the long version, but he talks about how it's okay for the media to look at WikiLeaks because this is stolen documents, and he doesn't say it, but he implies that if you look at it, you're breaking the law. Well, yeah, if you're a spy, which makes me wonder about him, because to have this in your brain. you have to be a spy.
Is that the level of our spies in the United States? Woe is me. We're doomed.
Well, we've known this from I think 2 or 3 years ago when our economic hitman, the one I think that we refer to as such, was I wouldn't say shacked up, but he was with this woman from the State Department who was mysterious and probably part of the.
Oh, that's right. Right.
And she made a big stink about looking at any of the WikiLeaks thing because she'd be caught on her lie detector test and looking at classified material.
So it really sucks being a spy, basically.
So the spies themselves, if something's public domain but it's a secret,
they're not allowed to look at it.
The spies are not allowed to look at it for stupid reasons. Let's face it. I mean, this is the dumbest thing if true. It could be bullshit, but it's stupid. But when Cuomo says this, it sounds like he personally is a spy, and he's just spewing the litany about what spies can and cannot do, not what the public can and cannot do. Assuming that the public are all spies, I guess, which I think the good part of them are, but it's beside the point. I just thought this was a very peculiar clip.
CNN's Chris Como says that it's illegal for anyone but the media to read WikiLeaks.
Also interesting is, remember, it's illegal to possess these stolen documents. It's different for the media. So everything you learn about this, you're learning from us.
Because he's an idiot, and that's what his handlers told him to say.
Where did you get? Oh, that's from the Talking Cat video. I know it. Talking Cat timeline. But you make a good point. Because Cuomo is clearly kind of thick. He just comes across as dumb, certainly in what he's saying here. If he is Mockingbird, CIA shill spy or on, some low level on the payroll, then that's what he would be trained to say. And he just pooped it out there. That's very interesting. Of course, most of the media are involved with CIA. Most of them.
Well, I don't know
other.
Most, but an awful lot of the big timers. We're talking about Washington Post, New York Times, CNN, and MSNBC. The big four are totally compromised.
I've been watching Fox News very closely as they've started to morph.
Oh yeah,
and
they're morphing faster than.
Oh yes,
they're morphing a little too fast for their own good.
Well, I got a clip here from Chris Wallace, and while I don't disagree with what he's saying, I've never seen anything like this being said on Fox. And remember, we're seeing Fox throw people off the air for not wanting, for wanting to say, hey, this, you got to connect the dots on the Notre Dame. Oh, shut up. Not on my watch. That's a first. That's a first. And now Chris Wallace says this.
I know there's some people who don't think that this March 27th letter is a big deal. And, some opinion people who appear on this network.
He's making a difference between news people like himself and opinion people. That's the rift.
Yes, he delivers an opinion.
Oh, no, wait. No, he delivers what he calls fact. But it's very interesting to see this split at Fox News. This is fascinating.
And, some opinion people who appear on this network who may be pushing a political agenda. But, we have to deal in facts. And the fact is that this letter from the special counsel, and it was one of at least 3 contacts with the Attorney General between March 25th and March 27th, was a clear indication that the Attorney General was upset, very upset, with the letter that had been sent out by the Attorney General and wanted it changed or wanted at least added to, and the Attorney General refused to do so. He felt the Attorney General's letter was inaccurate. He says in the conversation he was talking about media coverage. That's not what he said in the letter. What he says in the letter is you didn't reflect what we found in the report. And there are a lot of people, having read now the full report, or as much as it has been not redacted, agree that he didn't reveal what was fully in the report. Again, those aren't opinions. That's not a political agenda. Those are the facts.
So not only is it interesting that he talks about...
Well, that wasn't, by the way, that was hardly the facts, what he just...
Oh, no, of course. And there's a couple things to this. Let me just hear. Did you say Did he say opinion people or people of opinion? What did he say?
I know there's some people who don't think that this March
I want to get this right.
27th letter is a big deal. And, some opinion people.
Opinion people. You have news people, you have opinion people. And believe me, that's how they talk about each other on two different sides inside Fox News right now. Opinion people are Hannity, Ingraham, Tucker Carlson.
It's Ingram, by the way.
I thank you. I
love Ingraham, though. This is what it looks like.
That's exactly how you spell it, Ingraham. Give me a break.
Yeah, Ingraham. I'm going to use that.
So with Paul Ryan now on the board of directors, the Disneyfication of the Fox brand itself, which does not include Fox News, there is something going on. And I'm still seeing MyPillow.com ads during Tucker's show, which means they can't sell ads. They can't sell them because all the advertisers are afraid of advertising with the right,
alt-right people. Those horrible opinion people. Oh,
Nazi quadroon.
It's like they came out from the swamp. Here they come. They're all covered with moss.
People. Yeah. But it's just interesting to see this particular rift inside Fox News, and I think that the
opinion people are hurting. They're good for ratings, bad for business.
Opinion people are on the outs. I think it's over.
Good for ratings, bad for business.
Yeah,
that's the problem with that model.
Yes, that's the problem with the advertising model in general, because we all know in the United States of America there is only one God, and that is the advertiser. The advertiser rules everything.
Exactly, and I don't know. They don't spin off numbers to tell us what Tucker's monies are. They always talk about the ratings, but they never talk about the income.
Right.
Well, I noticed that. I
do know that CNN. Let me see. CNN's ratings in April dropped another 26% in prime time. Now, we're still all talking.
Can't they get a clue?
I guess
if you're
not.
Run by the CIA, let's say, or somebody other than your own common sense, you can't make corrections on these sorts of things. I mean, they could correct the course. I mean, CNN International is doing fine. I mean,
it's watchable. CNN International is actually watchable.
I watch every once in a while. I catch it. I go, wow, this is pretty good.
How do you receive it? I don't have it here. How do you get it? You watch it online?
I think I've gotten it on. Yeah, I got it on. I get it online. I get it on the computer.
I have to do that online. Because if you want anything outside of Mueller, you've got to You got to flip on Pluto TV for as long as that lasts. Since they've also been co-opted, they still have Sky News. They still have RT. At least you get some information about what's happening.
RT's doomed.
Well, they're a Russian agent.
Well,
they're registered as such. Registered under the FARA.
As such.
Yes, they are registered as such. Yeah, it's fantastic. Great time to be alive.
Well, it's the golden age of the internet.
So where do we it's a goal. It's pay attention now, kids. You're not going to see it like this.
Even like this show is doomed.
Well, I don't know. I think we'll make it out before the real crunch comes down.
You mean exit strategy?
I got angry letters about this.
Yeah.
Producer emailed me. People in my family have donated, but I just can't. When you keep talking about exit strategy, bring back the good old days. I said, what?
Good old days?
What do you mean we were doing one show a week for 40 minutes and you weren't donating? I said,
you want that? I don't think so.
So you do know that exit strategy is a joke, right? Kind of. I mean, if we had a real exit strategy, we'd exit. But right now,
we obviously got nothing.
But right now, being on the front lines of the podcast reboot is fabulous. No one cares about us. Not a single story. Nothing covers us ever.
No. And my favorite thing, and of course, Adam doesn't like me talking about it, although he nods his head and says, yes,
that's the Tourette's, yeah.
Is the following, which is they have all these specials on podcasting and they have all these conferences and they have a lot of articles written in the New York Times and elsewhere to mostly promote their podcast, which is okay. And they go on and on about the history of podcasting and no one ever I've actually asked Adam about this specifically. Have you ever been given a single phone call, they know where you live, to be asked one simple question about podcasting and its history and maybe some thoughts on you can't monetize a network, which you keep harping on Twitter. No, get a call.
No, I do get calls say, hey, I'm writing a book about MTV. You want to write the foreword? That's what I get.
Oh, you should write the forwards.
Fuck no, I'm not going to do any of that. I'm not interested. In the studio, I deliberated for a while. I'm not hanging up a single thing from my past. All the newspaper things, all the awards, the records, all going in the attic. I'm done.
You know what we need?
I'm done.
Is No Agenda album cover wallpaper.
Now, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And each roll can have you could probably do 3 across.
No Agenda shop, guys. Pay attention.
And it'd be a nice wallpaper. And you just wallpaper your walls with No Agenda cover art.
That. By the way, before I just want to go back to one thing about
it could be sound insulating.
I want to go back about the Mueller report. Here's one question I have that I'd like someone to answer truthfully and with backup. How much did the Mueller report actually cost? It was $20 million, it was $40 million, it was $25 million, it's $30 million, it's more than $50 million, it's everyone has a different number.
Yeah, they do, but I think it was always been kind of targeting 35 million. Although 33 would be a better number.
That's what I'm waiting for. We should just introduce that and just keep saying it. And just say actual cost of Mueller report, $33 million. Everyone go tweet that now. According to the Mueller report, the report cost $33 million. Just make sure people know that. Now, everyone has a different number. Trump has a different number. Lindsey Graham has all different numbers. They're just full of shit. All right, back to podcasting.
They are.
I did want to mention the reason why Spotify and Pandora are getting into the podcast business.
To scam the public.
Well, it's because they have no other way to increase their revenues. Zero. They don't own the content of the songs. And those contracts, what's even written into statute of how much needs to be paid. I mean, there's no way they can. And if they start to really do well, and they've never made a dime, they start to really do well. Well, then the music business will just up the price. They're a bad drug dealer, and so they figure, we have this content, we have like original content that we're going to. No one. It's not going to work, and I feel bad for the union people because they're the
people.
The podcast union people within Spotify.
Oh, the podcast union number one.
Yeah, wasn't Gimlet? Gimlet was going to unionize.
Oh yeah, Gimlet. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel bad for them because they're actually going to put themselves out of a job. In fact, I was talking to a guy in Holland just yesterday. Big TV show. Didn't work out too well. Ratings low. Canceled after 24 episodes. I've known him since I was 21. Radio guy. And he's been doing a podcast, which is good. It's very right wing. He talks a lot about Trump and how, pretty much the same situation in Holland. And he said, I'm just going to do this podcast. And he wanted to know how the value for value system worked. And I said, the first thing you got to do, because he'd been talking about this, stop with this idiotic video. Stop. Don't do video. You will never make it if you do video. He said, oh. And he had to think about it for 2 days. He said, I think you're right. I said, yeah, look, and by the way, you're ugly. You're fat and ugly like me. I got Tourette's. We belong on a podcast, my friend. We don't belong on video anymore. Okay.
I have to say the thing about people do mention, well, why don't you guys do, you can always just do pictures on the video. I don't know what the point of the video is if you can listen to a podcast. It's not that hard to just listen instead of have to stare at a screen with pretty pictures.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I've never people just all are enamored. Well, all the money you can make from YouTube, this sort of thing.
Yeah,
look what PewDiePie makes. That guy's rich.
Yeah. Well, don't worry, he'll get kicked off. It's only a matter of time. It's so typical. Let's talk about 2020 for a second. I I don't know if you have anything, or give us an update. Who's from the Cosmic Weenie report card? Who's the front runner right now? Is that still Joe Biden?
No, it hasn't been Joe Biden for weeks. You should get. I update that thing with a version number.
Okay, so what is the latest on the report card?
Bernie's number one.
Bernie's
and,
one.
Biden's number 2, and Hillary's number 3.
Well, let's look at this. Here's Biden saying something very interesting. Why is it not starting? Oh, there we go.
Meanwhile, Joe Biden playing down the economic threat from China. Watch this.
China is going to eat our lunch? Come on, man. They can't even figure out how to deal with the fact that they have this great division between the China Sea and the mountains in the east. I mean, in the west. I mean, they're not bad folks, but guess what?
What did he say?
They're not.
Did he have a senior moment there? Hold on. Listen to this.
They have this great division between the China Sea and the mountains in the east. I mean, in the west. I mean, they're not bad folks, but guess what? They're not competition for us.
Whoa. Yeah, exactly. They're no competition for us. Oh, okay.
He took all our manufacturing jobs. Who's he kidding, this guy?
Well, now
there's been a lot of it, by the way. There's been a lot of weird and odd anti-Chinese stuff being posted on YouTube.
Well, this is all part of the plan. It's the one that you predicted, because Hillary is about to run. There's no doubt about it. And she went on Rachel Maddow, and this is what she did.
Since Russia is clearly backing Republicans, why don't we ask China to back us?
I hereby tonight ask China.
That's right. And not only that, China, if you're listening, why don't you get Trump's tax returns? I'm sure our media would richly reward you. Now, according to the Mueller report, that is not conspiracy because it's done right out in the open. So if after this hypothetical Democratic candidate says this on your show, within hours, all of a sudden the IRS offices are bombarded with incredibly sophisticated cyber tools.
Such as, hey, well, you need to reset your password, moron. Okay, that's a sophisticated tool, all right.
Looking for Trump's tax returns and then extracts them and then passes them to whatever the new WikiLeaks happens to be.
No agenda show.
And they start being unraveled and disclosed. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, if you're going to let Russia get away with what they did and are still doing, according to Christopher Wray, the current FBI director who said that last week, they're in our election systems. We're worried about 2020, he said. So, hey, let's have a great power contest and let's get the Chinese in on the side of somebody else. Just saying that shows how absurd the situation we find ourselves in.
Yeah, what you just said really took it to a new level. Have the Chinese back the Democrats? And Joe saying, "Come on, man, they can't do nothing." And I have some interesting China stuff after our break. But just
do they think that this strategy is appealing to anybody but their very, very core? You know, the 20% of the people that would vote for Hillary if she was a serial killer.
Look, she's going after all demographics. She's setting it up. She's getting ready. CBS this morning had a very bizarre piece with a comedian. His name is Jordan Klepper, and I've not heard of him. The whole segment is not funny, but he has a show on Comedy Central. And so he's sitting with Bill and Hillary, and he's walking through he wants to get in on the crowdfunding craze, and he wants to crowdfund something. So he brings in advisors. This is part of the gag. Bill and Hillary. Huh?
Yeah, no, it's been going. This clip's going around. It's a good clip.
Here's an interesting one. Fund a audiobook of the Mueller report as read by Hillary Clinton.
Oh, gosh, I would definitely contribute to that.
Yeah?
Sure. It would take a long time to record that.
I think you need 2 weeks and a couple of lozenges.
Yeah, lots and lots of lozenges.
Why am I crowdfunding audiobooks with the Clintons? For the last 6 months, for my new show, I've been on the front lines of American activism. I've seen people run for office, sink boats, and get arrested. Enacting change is hard. But this week, we saw a real difference made from, of all things, the internet.
A GoFundMe soared to its goal of more than $1.8 million overnight.
I wanted in on the crowdsourcing game, so I brought in some trusty advisors. You guys need to help me spend $1,000 of my own dollars on worthwhile causes that are hopefully going to make for a better future.
Let's try.
All right, somebody's trying to raise money to take a law class to impeach Donald Trump.
No, unless this person is already in the Congress.
This is a guy who just wants to take a few law classes to attempt to impeach Donald Trump.
Yeah, but he's not in a position to do that.
We got to really digest what's in the Mueller report because we know what the Attorney General said about it is not true.
Listen to Bill, man. Bill is on the ropes again.
No.
That he misrepresented it.
Well, he should go to law school. Maybe we should send him to law school.
We're a no on this guy who wants to take a law class to impeach.
I agree.
Okay, but we should start a Kickstarter to send William Barr
back to law school for continuing legal education.
Yeah, if somebody wanted to fund his continuing legal education, I would be for that.
That's a really good idea. Poor Bill. Maybe. God. I mean, I think I need to bring it back. Didn't you mention this to me the other day? We got to bring it back.
Bill, I hate to do it.
Bill's on the block. I think he's seriously on the block.
This will push Hillary right to the forefront.
That would be. I mean, would Cosmic Weenie put her at the top on the report card if Bill kicked?
Absolutely.
In the saddle. That was part of the deal. Remember that was
up on the Cosmic Weenie list.
Update him on that. Oh my goodness.
I thought you were going to play the clip where Hillary read from the report.
No. The whole thing, but none of it was funny.
No, it was decidedly unfunny.
And why is CBS running this as a morning show segment? I mean, this gives me everything to believe she's ready to get back into the game. There needs to be maybe this Barr controversy is what she's looking for, but there's got to be something that, she's not going on Rachel Maddow to say, and I think, didn't she even say some Democratic candidate in that clip?
I don't know.
Actually,
I'll tell you this, is that she doesn't have a book out, and she's getting booked on these things. There's got to be some reason other than she normally doesn't go floating around unless she's either running for office or she has a book.
Right.
There's no book.
Right.
So she's running for office. Boom.
Let me just listen to that Rachel Maddow clip again. Not the whole thing, but I think it's in the beginning. She says something.
Since Russia is clearly, why don't we ask China to back us?
I hereby tonight ask China.
That's right. And not only that, China, if you're listening, why don't you get Trump's tax returns? I'm sure our media would richly reward you. Now, according to the Mueller report, that is not conspiracy because it's done right out in the open. So if after this hypothetical Democratic candidate says this on...
Now, do you hear how she said that? I think that's something wanting to come out about her running.
Right out in the open.
I don't understand why people don't get a clue about this.
Here it is.
If after this hypothetical Democratic candidate says this on your...
Yeah. I think it's pretty clear. Hypothetical. Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Beautiful. Do you have anything?
She's also one of the ones. She's also in this. I have a little medley of electoral college people. You can recognize each of their voices, who all want to do away. Hillary. Why does Hillary give a crap at this point unless she's running again to get rid of the electoral college? You'll hear her voice in here.
Well, some things that I would like to change. One is the Electoral College.
The Electoral College needs to go. And maybe we might want to take a look at the whole Electoral College.
I think it needs to be eliminated. I'd like to see us move beyond it, yes.
And that means get rid of the Electoral College.
I think it's, worthwhile, because you do it so well, to once again explain why we have the Electoral College and what it's supposed to protect, or what its function is.
Its function, and it's worked very well, apparently. Its function is to keep bad actors out of the presidency. And how it works, obviously, and people should know this, is that you have every state has a number of electoral votes, and it's fixed at that number that's determined. It is determined by their population, but it's not a direct reflection of the population, because sometimes some states will be kind of overrepresented by the Electoral College. And the idea is that when the votes come in, the state that wins, they get all the electoral. It depends on the state; they can choose to do whatever they want. But generally speaking, even though there's a new movement.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
But generally speaking, the state votes are 70% for Hillary and 30% for Trump. The electoral votes go for Hillary.
Mm-hmm.
The states that vote 51% for Trump and 50% for Hillary, that goes to Trump. And the idea is it's a balancing. It's load balancing. It's to keep the big states like California that locked out Trump because it's run by the state is corruptly run 100% by the Democrats. And the vote kind of was like 70 to 30. It was something along those lines. And it turned out to have 4 million more votes for Hillary than Trump, when most states had like 20,000 more or 50,000 more or something reasonable. So the popular vote, if it's eliminated and you only go through the electoral vote, it eliminates the chance of 2 or 3 big states loading up and pushing through whoever these big 3 states want, because they've got so much population that they can be overrepresented. And so it ruins the idea of our federal government. We're a federation of states.
Yes.
We're a republic. And republics aren't democracies, and they keep using. That's why the Democrats keep saying democracy, 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 when it's a republic that we are. And a republic is balanced, so you don't have the tyranny of the majority, which is the problem with democracies. And that's what's actually going on. No one ever brings this up, and we don't for some reason, but we don't bring it up in the Brexit vote. The Brexit vote, which was 51% to 49, something along those lines, 3% I think was the difference. That's 2, but that's how a tyranny of a democracy works, where almost everybody doesn't want this.
But yet there's the tyranny of the democracy. That's a very good point.
It's a tyranny of the majority in a democracy, and the majority can be a tyranny very easily, because especially if people don't come out to vote, like at the Brexit vote, all the youngsters they're all pro EU. They don't even want to be British. They didn't even bother. Who cares what difference they make? And then they lost the vote, and the next thing you know, they're all bent out of shape. Well, this is an example of why democracies aren't that great.
Oh, that's a good example. Pelosi, for some reason, was in London doing the rounds because, she has to work for the people of California. And she was on the London School of Economics podcast, a very short clip about Brexit.
Usually when we come here, we're talking about national security. We're talking about intelligence. We're talking about the economy. We're talking about so many things. And this time it's Brexit. So I'm not in a good place to talk about the system. But
I wish she had done a little more pronounced, because it is an ISO.
Brexit.
But it's not like the Jobs thing where she really yells it out.
No.
It's too bad.
By the way, I think we passed up. I wanted to make sure that you know about this ISO I took from that Nadler committee clip.
Let me check it out.
Mr. Chairman, move the table. Mr. Chairman, I move to amend.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adjourn.
It's not really funny. It's okay.
It wasn't tight.
It wasn't tight. Just one more thing about the Electoral College. Didn't Bush Jr. win through the Electoral College and not the popular vote?
Well, that was the close one where that's not absolutely necessarily true because of the Florida vote. But yeah.
Well, then how did it save us from tyranny?
Al Gore.
Okay. And with that, I'd like to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, the man who put the C in chaos, John C. Dvorak.
Well, in the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. Also, in the morning to all the ships at sea, boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water, all the days and nights out there.
In the morning to the troll room. Hello, trolls. I don't know how many trolls are in there right now. Let's take a look. How many trolls? I forget what is it. Is it LC? There's my command. 962 low trolls. We need more trolls in there. NoAgendaStream.com. You can go in there 24/7, 24 hours a day. There's always someone in there to chat. There's always some cool stream running, the shows that are on there. It's well worth the price of admission, which is free. So that is NoAgendaStream.com. Also, in the morning to Cesium 137. It's been a while since Cesium has scored the artwork for episode 1133, No Apology. And there was a number of different choices we could make. This was the redacted part from the Mueller report, which reveals that No Agenda is the best podcast in the universe. And it was a good piece. And I think a lot of people got the joke.
Oh, you were going to comment on the redaction.
Yeah. I hate to backseat drive an artist.
Guess the artist.
Backseat drive. Well, no, I wasn't going to say this on the show, but while we were talking about it, I said the only thing I don't like about it is the redaction marks are not the way they look in real life. They're square, they have sharp edges, and this was all fuzzy. So like it was maybe if you have a redaction from the 70s, it might look like that. But I don't know. It's okay. I love the piece, and I thank Cesium 137 very much.
You sure soft-pedaled that.
Also, thank you, Paul, Sir Paul, for upgrading the art generator over the last couple of days. He announced it to us.
Is it running again?
Yeah, it is. It's running. Of course. These guys, people work hard. They work their asses off for the value for value.
I wasn't running yesterday morning when I was doing the newsletter.
I know. A lot of people were complaining about it. But, hey, the thing is running.
He gave me a heads up if anybody bitched to me.
Yeah. And we now have, at this point, oh, my goodness, we must have over 11,000 pieces of art, maybe? I think in the, 13,403 as of right now. NoAgendaArtGenerator.com. It's a great place. It's a great place to upload your art if you want to for the show. It's a part of the Value for Value network.
It's a good place to go get ideas.
This too.
It's true.
But for us, it's really fantastic. It makes a huge difference in most of these a lot of podcasting apps. Not all of them adhere to it. When the art changes, people's attention is drawn to it, and they click on it. Which is a good way to go. It's probably the only discovery mechanism we really have. And I think discovery mechanisms are kind of BS anyway. That's not the big thing. And we've heard it with blogs, and we heard it with every other thing. We need discovery so people can discover shows. That's not how it works.
Well, that gave into SEO.
Yeah. It's like, Spotify's not making discoverability very good. Well, no, who cares?
We should also hire an SEO expert.
What these people are saying is, I want to be promoted by somebody. That's what they're talking about. Promote my show. Well, that's just not how it works. You got to go hit people in the mouth. That's been our mantra. That's how it works. And people who do that for the show, we appreciate that very much. And that is how it works. You get out of the network what you put into it, and we have people who've been very generous today to help us with the financial side. Our executive producers and associate executive producers for episode 1134.
And at the top of the list is our Baron of Southern California, A.J. Van Steenberger. Bergen. Who's a retired Marine, Semper Fi. He always sends a...
yes, of course. I know who he is.
He sends us a little Marine. I'm keeping his notes because they're so well... They get the Marine letterhead. Are they just the symbol.
Are they typed or handwritten?
They're typed, but is signed.
Nice.
It's very pretty notes. I'm a bit late with my 2019 omnibus budget submission for the first 2 quarters, but here it is. We got hit by a new salt limitation in California and did some temporary sequestering to get the budget back on track. 2 quick stories. 1, I had back surgery this month. While lying in my hospital room after surgery, a young lady walked up to the machine near my bed. By the way, if you've ever seen these, I don't know if these commercials are all over the country or not. But there's these commercials called "Just Okay Isn't Good Enough."
Yeah, I've seen them.
They're AT&T commercials, and you have these bonehead situations where somebody's they don't know what they're doing, but your life is in their hands, kind of thing. This fish is raw is my favorite. So he's describing one of these situations. He walked up to the machine near my bed and starts pushing buttons while saying, paraphrasing, like I'm so disorganized today. Like I walked into the wrong room, but like I'm okay now. I think I'll get back on track like I should, because I know better to take 4 days off because Netflix overload.
Really?
That's apparently, yeah, she's poking buttons.
Oh, my goodness.
On a machine he's hooked up to.
Oh, damn. Nurses are people, too.
I knew I would rue the day when millennials entered the workforce and started running things that we depend on.
You're doomed, bro. We're all doomed.
That day is here. Mimi constantly bitches about this particular phenomenon.
Oh, the millennials are now bitching about the Zoomers.
Well, they should look in the mirror. That's the way I see it.
Yes, old man. I'm with you.
You got it.
That
day is here. Lying in that bed, I did some serious ruing. 2, when my sweetheart picked up my prescription for oxycodone, the pharmacist handed her a box of nasal spray.
Uh-huh.
She said she didn't need nasal spray, thank you. The pharmacist told her that California regulations now required that the sale of a dose of Narcan with every opioid prescription that contained enough pills to cause an accidental overdose.
Wow.
I didn't know this.
I didn't know this either. That's regulation, huh?
Yeah, so you get...
Well, maybe...
we should have invested in Narcan
no, you
a couple
can't.
years ago when we first did a story.
We looked at that. It's a private company. You can't. That's the problem. They're private.
Their copay was $11. The pharmacist said that he has dealt with more than a few people who cannot afford their copays, often as high as $50, so he cannot sell them their prescription pain meds. Make of that what you will. No jingles, but I could use a bit more of your health karma. Thank you. Very respectfully, AG.
You've got
AJ,
karma.
Sorry. Who's getting Carlsberg. I'm always getting his name AG.
Hey, maybe the heroin drug dealers should be handing out Narcan with their packages.
If they can get it at this price, $11, that stuff costs hundreds.
You know, just on the...
by the way, I want to mention Gracie Ellis signed his check, his wife, or I guess it's his wife. I mean, who else would be called Gracie Ellis?
His nurse, his handler, could be anything.
Maybe his handler, could be his handler.
Yeah.
But I thought that was sweet.
You know that there's fights going on in Dutch pharmacies? Yeah. They have the basic idea of single payer. I mean, it's not exactly like that, but it's very much kind of an Obamacare, Medicare type system. And so the insurance companies run everything. And now people are going into the pharmacy to get their drugs. Of course, these insurance companies only want the cheapest generics. And what happens now is that the companies aren't making and distributing drugs to these countries because the demand is so low. And then all of a sudden they run out. So they keep running out of important things for people. Because they're running out of medication. People are freaking out and they're saying, I don't want this cheap ass. I want the I want the brand name, and they can't get it. And yeah, well, the Dutch, they got
here, if the doctor recommends brand name and says brand name only, do you have to get the brand name? You can't get the generic.
Oh, that's not the case with the new system. No, you get the generic, and if the generic is out, tough luck. You come back in a week. It's fantastic.
Well, that's no good if you need the drug.
No. I'm just reporting. Don't shoot the messenger.
Anyway, so the Baron of Southern California.
Thank you very much.
$1,000. Beautiful.
Yes. Semper Fi.
Now, he's followed up by our buddy who's on the road again. Seronimus of Dogpatch in Lower Slobovia comes in with 666.
Uh-oh. His numbers always mean something. I'm not pleased with this.
Well, it's interesting. This is I would read the end of the note first. This is not my May donation, but a Passover Easter Shabi Barat donation, reinforcing the coincidence of Abrahamic unity. So 666 is a number. I think I don't know. That's what it is, though. 666. Thank you for all the producers for continued Peabody Award level value on this show. Consistent, persistent, unparalleled news deconstruction. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
John, you said you wanted to know about my travels, so here's my view from 42,000 feet today. When stays are 5 days or fewer, the experience is taxi, Uber, Lyft, Careem Track. Don't know what that is, but apparently it's some competitor. Careem Track. Someone should look that up. Careem. Airport, airplane, taxi, hotel, taxi, meetings, taxi, hotel, taxi, airport, airplane, repeat. Airline food has deteriorated to levels not seen in a decade. Hotels are portraying better services, but like the Gilded Age, it is often superficial, partly because the help is undertrained.
Yeah.
But good tipping in dollars always attracts the best services. Currency issues are more often discussed as the dollar's strength, and fear of devaluation or tariffs make long-term investment more challenging. Religious differences, sectarian issues are being downplayed in the press, and harmony is discussed. You note this trend on your show, and I see it more broadly with Brenton Tarrant being an international example.
Christchurch.
What?
That was the Christchurch shooter.
The Christchurch. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The effort to make the Notre Dame fire a religious reawakening towards national unity seems to be failing.
By the way, before I want to get this out before I forget, apparently there was a whole plan already for Notre Dame, and this, so it's not going to be restored. It's going to be rebuilt with this plan that has been around to transform the Delacy, so the island itself that the Notre Dame is on, into Europe's leading tourist destination just in time for the 2024 Olympic Games. Adds another little twist to that, doesn't it? Because no one wanted to turn this thing into
that they rebuild the Notre Dame with the kind of the front part the same, and they modify the rest of it and they need to add two things to make it really, especially if they're going to do what you just described, which I believe is true.
It's true.
Is add a casino.
Yeah. Yes. In the church.
And a roller coaster. And a roller coaster around the Notre Dame.
Exactly. I think now that would be fantastic.
I think so. Yeah.
Or maybe just I think you're right. The roller coaster.
Just sell the whole island to Disney.
Thank you. Onward.
Anyway, our night continues. Global warming, while an AOC and Macron issue seems to be losing momentum. I have observed more Islamic scholars rather than the born-again Muslims engaged in social media replies to hate questions and similar engagement from other religious scholars. These scholars point out the context of extracted quotes from religious references to stern debate. I do not believe this is just a coincidence given the pressure to regulate social media. Perhaps like Representative Omar's gradual shift from traditional colorful head cover toward Wahhabi subdued colors, we can follow the money. I expect a new enemy is being researched for global news networks. Best quote, while being served in a crowded restaurant in Beijing, quote, too many people, we need a war to fix this, unquote. That's a food service worker. Food service workers around the world are the best source of public sentiment.
That's probably truth. The Sir Onimus of Dogpatch in Lower Slobovia. Thank you so much. It's always so nice. He has great. It really turns this segment into content of valuable proportions.
Because he gives us a report.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
We don't know who he is or what he does, but he's obviously travels a lot. And
it's always appreciated. Thank you so much, Sir Onimus.
Onward to Don Tommaso di Toronto.
Di Tomato?
He's Kettleby, Ontario, 34567. Greetings, John and Adam. It's been a while since my last donation. He needs a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
He's going to be in Seattle today, the 2nd, and I'll try to invade the Seattle meetup.
Oh, good.
To bring Scandinavian cheer, I thought it said order, to the Pacific Northwest proletariat. No jingles, no karma.
I think you tweeted this video out, too, about, was it Edmonton? in Canada, the guy, he went behind it looked like Los Angeles or San Francisco, basically. Just tents, people living in the parks.
No, that's Vancouver.
Was that Vancouver? I think that this is just...
I think it's Hastings Street or something.
This is just all over the world. This is happening all over the world.
Well, mostly on the West Coast. I mean, I know it is happening all over the world, but the West Coast has got the worst case scenarios.
Is it just...
Dallas will be next, by the way, because of their new district attorney.
Do you think that it's just... Because what happens is, and I think that it's now even under review, to just make, lots of cities are saying, we'll just make all public land. You can camp on it. If you're homeless. Yes.
This is local district attorneys are making these decisions, and they're allowing the cities to deteriorate. Dallas will be next.
And you may be right. My thinking is, why, if no one cares anymore and says, do whatever you want. There was at one point, I don't know if it was like a Zeitgeist movie way back in the day, and it had an animation of how money works and how money's created and how it's all basically debt and it's fictitious and the Federal Reserve and how it works. But eventually in that system, and they have it kind of like a Rube Goldberg machine, and you see people who just drop off, who just can't participate anymore, and they kind of fly off the end there into a heap. And that's literally happening. There's no help for these people. There's no future, even though the biggest problem they have is probably drugs.
Of Idiocracy.
It was similar.
Well, that's where they're flying off the end of a freeway and just piling up.
Yeah, it's not. It's similar to that, but yeah, that's the same idea. It's that these people fall off, and then no one cares about them. Step over them. Just step over them. Anyway.
Well, this is something that's going on that needs some sort of understanding because it's
drugs. It's drugs, man. These people are on meth and on other.
They're all on drugs, but the point is why don't they? It's as if
Why isn't anyone helping?
I don't know if they're doing this on purpose to say, here's what legalized drugs, you're going to end up with this. Look at this mess that we've created. It's all your fault, you liberals, or you libertarians, or whatever.
It's already here in Austin. We had the entire underpass of 35. Every underpass of 35, people are living there. Right next to the new Google building that's going up downtown, there's another bridge. People smoking meth and crack underneath that, and it's right near the library. Same story, and it's just allowed. Nothing is done except say yes. Yes, affordable housing is, we need affordable housing. If you let us put up the soccer stadium, we promise we'll build affordable housing right over there. They don't care. I don't know. Where's the guy with the dome who can be mayor of Austin? That guy. Bring him back.
Well, it's a situation that needs to be addressed, to say the least. Anonymous follows up here with $333. Which I believe was I had one $333 thing listed on there at the end of the newsletter, and I think this is it.
Okay.
We got one. He's also in Ontario, which is, if I hit the right button, I wouldn't be bouncing all over the place. But he says, and he's in Toronto. It's a great pleasure that I finally send this anonymous note to make a long overdue donation. Let me straighten this out so I can.
Okay.
It's a great pleasure. I finally did an so long overdue donation to the greatest podcast in the universe. My smoking hot wife hit me in the mouth a few years ago. That's nice. And I've been hooked ever since.
Excellent.
You guys do an outstanding job, and the social service you provide is second to none. I love your media deconstruction. You can no longer stomach the news media's often one-sided propaganda. You give our amygdalas healthy. You keep them healthy through your twice weekly dose of sanity.
It's better than a vaccine.
And by the way, our retired Marine has also put sanity on his little note there.
Thank you.
Let's check. Adam, congratulations on your impending nuptials.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
My wife and I were delighted to hear of your engagement. We're so happy that you both found each other.
Yes.
It made our day when we heard John and Mimi would be in attendance on your wedding day.
Made our day too, to be honest. Tina is incredibly excited that you're coming.
Moist. John.
What did you just say?
You're the one that said it. I brought it up.
This is the woman I'm going to marry. What's wrong with you, Dvorak? All right. Well, I'll chalk it up to old age.
Why are women always excited? They're excited.
No, she was generally. This is such an insult. She was generally excited. She could not believe that the man who I spend a lot of time with is going to join us.
I've met her. We've chatted.
You're not going to outlive this one. This is coming. This will boomerang back at you, bro.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I don't want the bad karma. John, I'm glad to see that PC Magazine's ineptness was acknowledged in the Mueller report. Which was right in there. I remember. I saw that in there.
People are
I'm
tweeting.
Sorry that PC Magazine wasn't able to see the value that the No Agenda community sees in you. Can I please request a karma trifecta of jobs karma, health karma, and by the way, if I was working at CNN, I would have been kicked out too. Same thing.
Oh, hell yeah.
Health karma, new home karma for my family. A lot of karmas. A de-douching would be appreciated since this is my first donation through. Though my wife did make a donation in my name for my birthday, I'm not sure that counts. Yes, it does. Now the donation seal has been broken, and this can become a more regular occurrence. Thank you both for all that you do, and hope that you both continue to enjoy making the outstanding product you do. Without you guys manning the helm, we'd all be overboard.
Thank you very much. This is very kind of you. I'm going to give him a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
And here's your trifecta.
Jobs, and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
There you go. Thank you so much.
On to Associate Executive Producer, Sir Chris Ruddy. This donation is in memory of my son, who, unlike me, was actually named Ben. He was born emergently on March 4th, 2018, with congenital heart defect and died on January 2nd. Despite many open heart surgeries, which included a heart transplant in October.
Oh, boy.
It's $1 for every day he was alive. Please wish him a happy birthday.
Yes. And let me just make sure we have that on the list.
Oh, that yellow, it better be. Sir Chris Ruddy, Eagle Scout, Systems Admin, and Baronet.
Yes. Thank you so much. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry that's terrible.
Let me just check. Double check. Yes. Okay. Got it. He's on. Good.
Sir Timothy of the No Fixed Title, $201. ITM, John and Adam. Sir Timothy of the No Fixed Title here, this donation rockets me past $3,000 for my barony.
Beautiful.
Rocks. Wow.
Yeah.
I claim the Upper Peninsula for my protectorate until a baron or a baroness emerges in Michigan who lives in that area full time. Now, anybody who knows this area knows that ain't going to happen. So he's got a good bet going on here. Now we'll get a note from some nasty person.
No doubt. Mm-hmm.
Until then, I hold it in trust. With the person who does live up there and bitches about this comment, they better become baron then. With my newfound rank, I can't wait to assign honorary titles for sheriffs and magistrates in the meetup in Flint this Saturday. Instead of jingles, please put this link to our No Agenda Local 1 email list sign up from the show notes. And he's got a thing here we can put in the show notes.
Well, let me do that right now, otherwise I'll forget. Okay.
Yeah. Now, I hope you guys at Local 1 are using noagendameetups.com to help generate more people to come to these things. I think you might be surprised how effective it is. Because a lot of things with meetups.com was just a crappy site that really wasn't. I don't even know what the point of it was. You can do these sites yourself, and that's what we've done.
And actually, I wanted to call out Daniel Tomash of noagendameetups.com, because this is how our value for value model works. People do things for the show. You're producers, after all. So Daniel created noagendameetups.com, has been working with Mimi, and the site is flying. And there's lots of meetups. We'll talk about those in the next break.
Sir Timothy of the No Fixed Title, $201.01. ITM, John and Adam. Sir Timothy of the No Fixed Title here. This donation rockets me past three. Oh, I just read that. What am I thinking?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you're going to let me go. I like that.
Yeah.
That was funny. Michael Janoski, pronounced Janoski.
You're batting 1,000.
In Glendora, Pennsylvania, 200. Thanks for this show. I find myself hitting the refresh button of my podcast app again and again and again and again when 4 p.m. hits on show days. Oh, that's interesting. Well, we try to get the show out as fast as humanly possible.
Yeah, usually it's about, what, 40 minutes? 35,
No.
30 minutes?
Closer to 30.
Yeah.
I've been timing it. By the time it gets fully posted, it might be 40 minutes because it's a big file.
Yeah, well, the show is ready to go because we don't edit anything. We just, it's except for the beginning and maybe just chop off, just tighten it up. But then it's all the credits. Make sure we get those right because people are very particular. Have to pick the art. Yeah. We have to come up with a title, and then usually John's ready to go and let me do all the work. But I always say, like, hey, so tell me, what are the kids doing? I just let it, and he goes off on some story, and I'm like, it's fun to listen to John while I'm doing all the rest.
I'm just your entertainment.
You are my entertainment.
This automatic download check just takes too long for my patience. I've been a long-running douchebag. Please de-douche me with this donation.
You've been de-douched.
Signing up for the layaway plan. I will unfortunately miss the Pittsburgh meetup and hope all the success to the folks going. Please grant me jobs, karma. I'm looking for the next step in my career, hoping for the karma. The karma can do its magic for me.
And that was from Michael Janoski. Thank you very much.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Do you remember where the jobs, let's vote for jobs comes from? It was very early in our show.
It was Obama time, wasn't it?
It was Obama, but it was early Obama.
Yeah.
What was the point?
Save or create.
It was the cap and trade bill.
Oh, I thought it was just about we saved or created jobs. I remember that.
No, this is the cap and trade bill. That's where Gomer came out and said crap and trade.
Yeah. That is a long time ago.
And the bill, that's when Boner was still the Speaker of the House. He had the thing. He says, we just got this last night at midnight.
Oh, yeah, right.
On it.
Yeah.
And she goes out and says, we got to vote for it because of jobs. Somehow it's going to create jobs. Yeah. Inspectors, because all your houses have
government
to be retrofitted with foam, and it was terrible.
Government jobs. Beautiful.
Terrible. But it did produce one thing, and one thing great, I have to say. Pelosi's
jingle. Yeah.
Pelosi jingle. Yeah. Thank you, crap and trade. Lionel Ewing is next on the list from Parts Unknown. And he says, thanks for the passage, karma, to move my sailboat sideways from San Jose del Cabo, Mexico, to Southern California.
Well, that's right.
Well, in Mexico, your show was the only source of news. The passage took longer than planned because I did not get a de-douching for my first donation.
What?
Can I get a de-douching this time and some jobs, karma?
Yes, of course you can.
You've been de-douched.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Well, he says sideways is yacht sailboat is being refitted to sail around the world. So he's going to go on a.
Oh,
so
wow.
He needs the karma for sure.
Well, what he needs an APRS transmitter so we can follow him. So we can follow him.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, you should do that.
Let up a balloon from time to time with a wire or something like that, and we can follow a transponder, kind of a blip.
I'm sure there's more than a dozen people that would be interested in that.
And they all listen to this show, coincidentally. Yeah. That's right.
Esmeralda Gack in Ripon, Wisconsin is last on our list, $200. And she wrote a note in. Curiously, my squirrel mail search feature is not working.
Has gone belly up.
You think if you put in Gack, well, you can see. Okay, I already got it. Kill that thing. I hope I didn't request too much if I did just the de-douching check and the jobs karma. She did two separate donations, started with the $50 a month subscription and made a one-time $200 donation. Dear esteemed guardians, no, you get the full tilt here, Esmeralda. ITM, and thank you for your courage, the full tilt. What does that even mean? ITM, and thank you for your courage. This show is invaluable to my mental health and sanity. Thursdays and Thursdays are my favorite days of the week. That's good.
Ours too.
Yeah, Thursdays and Thursdays. So a deep thank you is in order. Please keep up the great work as long as you can before it starts to impact your own health and sanity. This is actually good for our health.
Yeah, this is how we stay sane. Thank you. It's exactly right.
Yeah. Do it for the good of the society and mankind overall, and they keep the lights on, of course. Well, as long as we keep the lights on. If the lights can't be kept on,
then we got a problem.
Of lack of help, then that's how it ends. Please or the government. Please de-douche me, as I've only once donated when I mailed you a card and $3 cash. I still hope cash is king.
You've been de-douched.
Please do a douchebag check for producers who were brought to no agenda in recent years, especially in the Trump era, by the podcast Pod Gods with a Z. Z, as she puts it.
Hold on.
With hosts Geo and Lax.
I have it here.
Douchebag check. No, douchebag check.
There's your douchebag check.
I don't really know how a douchebag check works, she writes, especially if people are on a subscription under 50. I'm guessing they'd email you guy anonymously. I hope I'm doing this right. I don't really know if I'm allowed this one, but I'd love a plug for superfangiovanni.com.
What? How do you spell that?
SUPERFANGIO Fangio. Vanni, VANNI. Where you can find what used to be the classic Loveline podcast.
Huh.
For anyone who used to listen to it on podcast one, it's now called Get It On. On all your podcast players at superfangiovanni.com. A necessary backstory below. Go podcasting. Jobs karma for my smoking hot husband who is currently looking for a new job in electrical trade in central Wisconsin, whose recent inheritance is funding my damehood. Yep. I hit him in the mouth regularly, and he's actually a big fan, but has yet to listen to an entire episode. Like if he gets bored, I have to elaborate and explain things to him when we get together, or when we listen together, which is the only time he listens. But since he's paying my donations, I can't truly call him a douchebag. Sorry for the long note, and thank you for the immeasurable value to bring into my life on a day-to-day basis.
Oh, thank you.
Long-winded, liberal, occasionally friendly troll and future dame Esme.
Beautiful. From Ripon. Right. Well, thank you.
Goes on with some other details.
Was this that was it, right?
Yeah.
Good list. Thank you. And some familiar faces there who always come in to save the day. Sometimes once every half year, sometimes once a month, sometimes every quarter. It doesn't matter. It's exactly how the value for value system works.
I give her some karma.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. She also needed jobs karma, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. Yes, I got you.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
All right. That's a group of associate and executive producers for show 1134. I want to thank each and every one of them for making the show possible.
And these credits are real, valuable, where accepted. You can put them on all kinds of places. People seem to add it to their social media handles or to the names, at least, that are displayed, put it on their LinkedIn. You can proudly say executive producer or associate executive producer of the No Agenda Show, episode 1134. You could even add in parens, according to the Mueller Report, the best podcast in the universe. And you can support us for our next Thursday show on Sunday.
Dvorak.org/NA.
I think you've got enough deconstruction to hit the water cooler and propagate.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Order. Order.
Shut up, slave.
Shut up, slave.
I wanted to talk briefly about the measles and the MMR vaccine.
Yeah, where's our jingle?
Do we have a vaccine jingle?
No. I don't think so.
Oh, you're saying, hey, producers, where's our vaccine jingle? Is that what you're doing?
Well, I was thinking measles specifically.
Yeah, I don't think we have anything. Now, the reason why I'm following this is in the early days of this show, I caught a financial conference. It was J.P. Morgan or some of these outfits, and they have all the analysts, and everyone comes over and they talk about how great their company's going to do. And the pharmaceutical guys, I don't know if it was Merck specifically, but it was the pharma guys were showing it was a pharmaceutical conference. That's what it was. We're all kind of showing the same PowerPoints, and I might even have those somewhere still, but they're publicly available on their website. They're not hiding it. And the big bonanza, the big boom was going to be vaccines. Vaccines is where it's at. And we did have a real odd period. I don't know if you remember, where they had coming out with vaccines against smoking. All kinds of, which they called it a vaccine. It's like, that's really odd, but okay. Yeah. So then, at anything they could, they just labeled vaccine, and it died down a bit. And, we've had the anti-vaxxer controversies, and we've had, kind of bubbling along. And now this measles is really cropping up again. And this is the latest news, came out just recently.
Right. Interesting story here. A cruise ship has been quarantined in the Caribbean. A, Liz, why? And B, whose ship is it?
A measles outbreak. Reports are now crossing right now. It's happening now. Owned by the Church of Scientology off of St. Lucia. 300 passengers and crew have been told by officials in St. Lucia, the Caribbean island, do not leave because a female passenger has measles. Measles it can be contracted via coughing. It can go airborne via sneezing. One person can infect up to 18 other people. This boat was supposed to leave on Thursday. So the passenger and crew are told you're...
Did you ask me to stop?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear you yelling.
I only yell at once. One person can
infect 18 people. That was her stat.
18, specifically 18.
Not 19.
Not 19. Not thousands.
No, just one. I guess that's
18.
all. Yeah.
Where does that number come from?
Hey,
I'm suspicious when I hear something like that.
The CNBC, man. They know their numbers.
Via sneezing, one person can infect up to 18 other people. This boat was supposed to leave on Thursday.
I think what she's saying is that if you sneeze in the air, the droplets...
No, she never said that. She said one person can infect up to 18 other people. So if I've got measles and I kiss 100 people...
Only 18 will get it.
Only 18 will get it.
Mm-hmm. All 18 of them men.
Measles it can be contracted via coughing. It can go airborne via sneezing. One person can infect up to 18 other people. This boat was supposed to leave on Thursday. So the passenger and crew are told you're not allowed to disembark, but that the boat can leave port. It is not being prevented from leaving port if it wants to leave. So that's the issue right now.
Stop again. Is there any producers or anybody that works at this network that you can't leave, but you can disembark?
The ship could leave. The ship could leave the port, but people couldn't leave the ship.
Oh, okay.
The boat can leave port. It is not being prevented from leaving port if it wants to leave. So that's the issue right now. Highly contagious. The virus can go airborne. It stays in the air 1 hour after somebody coughs, and you can catch it if those droplets are hanging in the air. We'll stay on the story for
And the ship is owned by the Church of Scientology.
The Church of Scientology, that's
all right,
correct.
got it. Check those Dow 30.
I love that. I didn't know that. That must be the Sea Org.
I would think.
Oh.
Maybe they have more than one boat, but I thought if you were a clear,
no, but you know what?
Got on this boat, you couldn't get sick.
Oh, John, come on! It's just saying again, religious nuts, whether you're Orthodox Jew nut or Scientology nut. Oh, you don't get vaccinated, probably. I don't even know what the rule is with Scientology.
There's a subtle message here.
Subtle? It's not subtle. It's pretty in your face. Now, a month ago, no, longer than a month.
Those disease Scientologists.
Religious nut jobs, don't get anti-vaxxers. So a month ago, almost to the day, this is how long we've been following this uptick. I played the Brady Bunch episode when the Bradys all got measles. And that was kind of funny because that's the way I remember getting measles. And, then their whole thing was, I don't have to go to school. That's why little Billy is smiling and everyone's all happy about it. And Alice got the measles. Well, you can imagine that once someone got a hold of our great clips, that it really pissed off NPR.
Are you sure it's the measles?
The Brady Bunch episode, Is There a Doctor in the House, came out in 1969.
Well, he certainly got all the symptoms. A slight temperature, a lot of dots, and a great big smile.
A great big smile.
No school for a few days.
All 6 Brady kids come down with the measles, stay home from school, and play board games together.
Boy, this is the life, isn't it?
Yeah, if you have to get sick, you sure can't beat the measles.
That's right.
No medicine.
Inside or out. Like shots, I mean.
Don't even mention shots. Yuck!
People who are critical of vaccines bring up the episode often, like Dr. Tony Bark, who testifies against vaccines in courts and public hearings across the country. So, what do former cast members think about their show being used as evidence measles is not such a big deal? Actress Maureen McCormick played Marcia as a teen.
Marcia!
She says she found out a few months ago that an anti-vaccination Facebook group was circulating memes of her with the measles from that episode. She was furious.
I think it's really wrong when people use people's images today.
Yeah, so what she's really pissed off about is she got a dumb deal back in the day, has, very low, any residuals. And she's like, well, they're using my face to promote something. I'm not making my money.
That episode, she was furious.
I think it's really wrong when people use people's images today to promote whatever they want to promote. As a mother, my daughter was vaccinated.
And she says she got the measles as a kid before the vaccine was introduced. It was nothing like the Brady Bunch episode. She got really sick. Lloyd J. Schwartz is the son of Sherwood.
Too bad they didn't have any clip of her saying that herself, but we'll just take NPR's word for it.
It was nothing like the Brady Bunch episode. She got really sick. Lloyd J. Schwartz is the son of Sherwood Schwartz, Brady Bunch creator who passed away in 2011.
Dad would be sorry because he believed in vaccination, had all of his kids vaccinated.
Everyone who caught the measles in the Brady Bunch was fine by the next episode. And most people who catch measles in 2019 will be fine too once they recover. But that's not always the case. The virus can cause pneumonia, in severe cases, brain swelling and deafness.
You will die. So yes, of course, I want to reiterate, we're semi-vaxxers. I've had my vaccinations. My daughter's had her vaccinations, but I think you can overdo it a little bit.
Well, I'm going to say this. I was thinking about this because I've been called out as a vaxxer when I'm not.
I hate it when they're anti-vaxxers.
Smallpox vaccine in me.
Damn, you're really old.
Nobody else does.
No one has that one anymore.
I always say when somebody says, well, okay, then I would advise you, if you're going to call me out, to go get an HPV vaccination.
Yes.
If you're all in on this, go get an HPV vaccination. Because it does prevent certain number of
throat cancer in boys. You can say it to men and women. Cancer. Yep. You can say it to men and women. Yep.
Yeah. So men in particular, go get this vaccine. Look it up before you go get the vaccine. Look up a little details on its side effects. But since you're all in on this, go get that vaccine. Unless you get that vaccine, you got nothing to say to me. Because if you're not going to get that vaccine, then you're in the same boat I am. You're a semi-vaxxer. You can't start to condemn me unless you get the HPV vaccine. And if they go get that, fine, you can yell and scream.
There's also, I got a very interesting note from someone that that a lot of this measles scare could also be related to Fifth's disease, which I'd not heard of, and it has very similar symptoms. Have you ever heard of this Fifth's disease?
I'm all ears. Go.
Hold on. I just
go.
Yeah. Go. I'm looking up the damn Wikipedia page. Go.
Oh.
So I had it, and I just had to click on the link.
It?
Fifth, like fifth. If
like
Foxtrot.
Fifth? Maybe this guy's got musical issues. He can't keep a beat.
Fifth disease. Erythema infectiosum, or fifth disease, is one of several possible manifestations of infections by parvovirus B19.
Oh, it's a parvo.
Yes. What is a parvo?
Well, that's like a dog virus.
The name fifth disease comes from its place on the standard list of rash-causing childhood diseases, which also includes measles, that's first, scarlet fever, second, no one talks about that, rubella, third, Duke's disease, but is really no one has ever seen that one, and sixth is roseola, but fifth is the fifth disease. And you look at these kids, it's also known as, was it slap cheek? Because it looks like your cheek has been slapped amongst all the dots. Anyway, why is there no vaccine for this? It looks just as shitty. That's the same type of thing.
There is a vaccine for parvo for dogs.
Okay, well, that perfect opportunity to start giving it to humans, because let's check in with Wall Street.
A lot of earnings coming out this morning. Let's start with Eli Lilly. Looked like kind of a mixed quarter, and you can kind of see that in the trading this morning. Eli Lilly trading down a little bit there. Moving along to Pfizer, that one coming in, beat and raise for new CEO Albert Bourla. This is his first quarter as CEO of the company. He started January 1st. Pfizer did $8.9 billion in stock buybacks in the quarter. They've got another more than $5 billion in share repurchases authorized. So they've been spending a lot of their cash there, but everybody's always wondering about M&A for them. We'll round it up with Merck. That one coming in a beat as well, as you just detailed earlier. They're setting growth in oncology and vaccines there. In oncology, of course, their major drug is Keytruda, that huge immunotherapy cancer drug, coming in at $2.27 billion. That was actually slightly less than what analysts were looking for, but you do see the stock up 2.7% in the early market. One more thing to note on Merck. They make the MMR vaccine. That's the measles, mumps, rubella vaccine. And they cited growth there for their pediatric vaccine business because of higher demand in the U.S. and in Europe. So we'll see whether that continues with the current outbreak, guys.
Yeah, let's see if it continues. I hope it continues because the stocks will go up. So they beat earnings, surprise, surprise, makers of the MMR vaccine. So now, if we just put ourselves, I think we have a show assumption that a lot of what's happening with vaccines and how they are portrayed is for profit motives. Why would it be any different than any other branch of the big pharmaceutical industry, except this has been put into our heads as fear. You'll die. What could we do? I think I mentioned one or two shows ago that if we have these outbreaks in the Netherlands, which they see it in other EU countries, they're talking about it. And of course, now we have every state, and it's all look at all these people, the cruise ship. Do we not have a global outbreak? Are we not all going to die? And if I was running Merck, I'd be pushing towards that, and I'd be doing it in this manner.
Dr. James Goodson at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in Atlanta says the U.S. measles cases are a direct result of the outbreaks abroad.
When we see large measles outbreaks in other countries that are common...
And I just have to stop this for a second. I look at all kinds of, certainly European news. I did not see this start in Europe. It started in the U.S., and I read it every single day. I didn't see measles vaccination calls and fear-mongering pop up until well after this started here.
When we see large measles outbreaks in other countries that are common destinations for travelers from the U.S., that's when we often see the largest number of measles cases in the U.S., like we're seeing this year.
Madagascar is grappling with a measles outbreak that sickened 70,000 people and killed more than 1,000. Ukraine had a similar number of cases. There are ongoing measles outbreaks in the Philippines, India, Romania, Brazil, and Venezuela. There have been smaller flare-ups in popular vacation destinations like France, Greece, and Israel. And it's unvaccinated travelers who are the problem. They're the ones who are bringing the virus into the U.S.
The only reservoir for measles virus is people. So the only way you're going to get measles is if you come in contact with somebody who's infected with measles.
I guarantee you the next phase of this rollout is you have to be able to prove you've had your MMR shot before you can enter the United States of America, and that will be for citizens and non-citizens alike. You can just see it coming.
That's a money maker.
It's a huge money maker. So now I don't know what Merck's at, but this is where we would want to buy some Merck stock. But they still have to get the regulators. Or it doesn't have to be a law. They can just do it through Homeland Security. They can say, new rule. You got to be able to show.
Dynamite. Somebody, a marketing guy at Merck would be getting a lot of handshakes and high fives. And a big bonus. Give me a big bonus bill right at the end of the year. Big bonus coming your way.
Fantastic. Yeah, anyway. But I have a feeling we may be...
So I think you're right. They're going to bring the...
meanwhile...
Good idea.
I'll just stay healthy with Jambo Joe's little gift box. Did you get one from Joe Winky?
Our guys over here with the spray?
The Jambo, the spray. This spray is, so first of all, he's Jambo. He sent the Solve again, Solve. And that's so good if you have, pain in your hands or your back or anywhere, really. Just muscle pain, any kind of joint pain. Yeah. But then he has these sprays, which is, 500 milliliters of THC in a bottle with a peppermint. These guys have got a good idea. Man, I've been around. Two sprays of that is enough for me.
Yeah.
Oh. You had a booster. Get a third one. It can't hurt. This is literally
getting them.
Literally what they're saying.
It's just distilled water anyway.
So now let me give another strategy to the politicians. I would say Trump could do this. Any Republican could use this strategy. Where do you think these measles are coming from? Illegal immigrants.
Well, that's
what I'd be saying.
The idea that the right-wing talk radio guys have brought out months back.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, I don't listen to that. Why
you should.
Why do you have to be so sarcastic?
Oh, I'm just a sarcastic guy.
Okay.
I'm concerned about something.
What are you concerned about? Well, stop. What are you concerned about?
Oh, I'm not going to say what I'm concerned about. You'll find out later. I would say this, that this idea has already been brought forward. Also, the TB, tuberculosis, uncurable TB, is coming in from Mexico. Measles is coming in from Mexico. Leprosy.
Leprosy?
Well.
Oh, that would be cool to bring that back.
I threw that in, but that's a good one. Leprosy is out there.
Yes.
We must have a doctor that can tell us how to cure it. I forget what happens if we get it.
How to cure
get leprosy?
How to cure leprosy? I thought it was incurable.
No, leprosy is very curable. Otherwise, it'd be leper colonies still.
Well, we do have Steiner Ranch here in Austin, but I don't know if it's...
Well, that could be a leper colony, but we don't know for sure.
All right, let's talk about Venezuela for a moment.
Let's see.
Surely you have some clips. I've got a couple things.
No, I got nothing on Venezuela. I did have something, and I didn't keep it because it was just this guy going on about there was a coup against me, and I'm still here standing. And now they get this new guy. They're introducing some third guy.
Yeah. Okay. No, I'm going to.
Besides Guaido,
I'm going to pick it up right there.
Okay.
So first of all, shame on the neocons who are doing this. Bolton, Pompeo, God knows who else. You guys are playing the game from the 80s and 90s. It's so easy now for anyone with half a brain and some friends on the internet to see that, Guaido is there and he has troops and these guys have brand new uniforms with the creases still in the side. You got fat Americans walking around with underneath their clothing, they've got armor on. You've got guys wearing their American helmets. We've got M16 rifles, all the wrong equipment for what they would have there. We're not stupid. And of course, because of the internet, not only do we know this stuff, but the disinformation gets way beyond what you guys can do. You cannot control it. They can't control it anymore. Because typically, in a wag the dog scenario, all you need is that they had the camera. It's all been
hold on. Are you, because you're talking to somebody, are you talking to the intelligence community?
No, I'm talking to the military.
Okay.
Military intelligence. And let me tell you, on the ground, boots on the ground, boys and girls who are deployed, they're sick and tired of it. They do not want to deploy. They don't want another phony war. They're going to, it's becoming a problem. They see it too. It's like, this is bullshit. I don't want to go there. So what did they do in this old wag the dog situation? They got up on an overpass. That's where all the professional video you saw, which is pretty much, have you seen a whole bunch of selfie cam stuff? Now, mainly was shot from the bridge, from the overpass. You see an armored vehicle drive over people. It could have been anyone in that. They both have access to that. But it's really a small crowd of guys up there, and it's obvious that, they even have the purple band. Hey, don't shoot me. I'm one of the good guys in my purple band. This is all mercenaries. They're all but wait, let me finish. So you have you show videos of some smoke and some people, getting roughed up and, maybe a shot or two. And that used to look really scary, but now we see that it's just a small bits of isolated occurrences, and it got no traction. No one jumped up and said, let's do it. They tried. This was, I think, a serious try, and it was so pathetic.
Well, a couple of things. I think you're right in every way. It is pathetic. I think it was a serious try. I don't know who is behind it. I'm more inclined to think CIA.
Yeah, it's totally CIA. Totally.
But I'm reminded of a clip that we played about a year ago about some ex-spook that was discussing the Guatemala takeover, where we took over the radio station and started giving fake reports to drive out the government, because they were afraid there was thousands of troops headed their way. There was nobody coming. It was just a big bluff. And I think that, I don't know who's behind all these things, but I think they're using exactly what you said, techniques and ideas that are from the 50s.
Yes, from the 50s, yeah.
The 50s. I'm not talking about the 60s.
Yeah.
They're using ideas from the 50s, and they learn nothing from Syria. They learn nothing from Iraq, which was given the green light because we're really welcomed with open arms, and they're going to be cheering us as we waltzed into Baghdad, which never happened. We always forget about that one. All the military experts and the spooks were all talking about, we're going to welcome our, they're cheering and parades for us as our tanks roll into Baghdad. This is going back to the 40s. This is what, when we took over, we came into Paris, not having taken the Nazis out. This is so pathetic and so old-fashioned, and I don't know what they can do about it, because for one thing, they can't get anybody into these positions of influence that know anything about social media. They're in Washington, D.C.
Yeah. Well, so first of all,
by the way, let me stop again. This is the biggest botch. We have to call it what it is. This is a huge botch. This is on the Bay of Pigs level.
Well, it involves a lot of the same players, coincidentally. And again, CIA, Pompeo is running the op. He's an ex-CIA guy, and he dropped in to talk with Brolf about everything.
You've seen the violence on the streets of Caracas and elsewhere. It certainly looks like Maduro is not going to go without a significant fight. So here's the question. What specifically is the United States prepared to do if Maduro arrests Guaido?
Well, I'm not going to get into specifics, but we've made very clear we would consider that a major escalation. Wolf, we've watched throughout the day. It's been a long time since anyone has seen Maduro. He had an airplane on the tarmac. He was ready to leave this morning, as we understand it, and the Russians indicated he should stay. We think the situation remains incredibly fluid. We know that there were senior leaders inside the Maduro government that were prepared to leave. They told us as much over the past few weeks, and we're convinced that the Venezuelan people are going to get their democracy back.
So if you say he was getting ready to head over to the airport and the Russians talked him out of it, are the Russians responsible now for what's going on?
We've made clear all along, Wolf, that Maduro is surrounded by Cubans and has been supported by Russians there in Venezuela. And we've told the Russians and we've told the Cubans that's unacceptable. It's unacceptable to starve people. It's unacceptable to allow sick children not to be able to get their medicine. The nations of the region, the Lima Group, the Organization of American States are all demanding that we get democracy restored and that we get dignity back to this once great nation. It's a country that has the capacity for great wealth, and the United States is prepared to stand with the Venezuelan people, to support the interim government, to help a free and fair election take place, and then to build back this country.
I am so against this. Now, I understand we can't have a Cuba situation where we've got missiles within range of Washington, D.C. Let's just make it what it is. And Trump, either he's focused on something else and like, oh, Mike will take care of it. Whatever it is, this is an impeachable offense for allowing this bullshit to continue. And people are not stupid anymore. Trump may understand that he can reach people with his Twitter, but he also has to tell them what's going on in some terms that they can understand, because now we're just finding out for ourselves, and it's bullshit what's going on. And as I've discovered, Guaido is just the beginning. That's just the front man. He's never going to be in charge. His only job is to bring Leopoldo Lopez back. And that's the big news from this botch and this debacle, is Leopoldo Lopez was brought out with Guaido, and this is the guy who was supposed to do it. But I think they completely failed. That's why you see Guaido like going, with like 8 people around him going, yeah, whatever, bro, because they could not capture the attention. But I'm going to tell you who Leopoldo Lopez is as we go back to 2014, your favorite show, Democracy Now!
Who is Leopoldo Lopez? The Washington Post describes him as a 42-year-old Harvard-educated, left-leaning moderate. What do you know about his history?
Left-leaning moderate would be quite a stretch. Leopoldo Lopez represents the far right of the Venezuelan political spectrum. In terms of his personal and political history, here's someone who's educated in the United States from prep school through graduate school at the Harvard Kennedy School. He's descended from the first president of Venezuela, purportedly even from Simón Bolívar. In other words, he's a representative of this traditional political class that was displaced when the Bolivarian Revolution came to power. In terms of his very specific political history, his first party that he came to power as a representative of, Primero Justicia, was formed at the intersection of corruption and U.S. intervention. Corruption by his mother, purportedly funneling funds from Venezuela's oil company into this new party, and on the other hand, funding from the NED, from USAID, from U.S. government institutions to so-called civil society organizations. Now, as Chavez came to power, the traditional parties in Venezuela collapsed, and both the domestic opposition and the U.S. government needed to create some other vehicle through which to oppose the Chavez government, and this party that Leopoldo Lopez came to power through is one of those vehicles. So this is really where he's coming from. In this moment, though, even his former compatriot from that party, Enrique Capriles, who was the unified presidential candidate for the opposition in April, has realized that the line of taking street action in an attempt to oust a democratic government is simply not going to work. And Leopoldo Lopez, as well as other far-right leaders like Maria Corina Machado and Antonio Ledesma, have really gone all in with this attempt to oust the government.
So that's the guy you want to be looking at. That's the guy who was supposed to make it all happen. That's who Guaido brought out onto the streets, and it failed. And let's be honest, this is only about turf, oil, and drugs. Lots of drugs.
You can even cut it down. You can even cut drugs, that down to
just
one
drugs.
thing.
Just drugs.
No, oil.
I think drugs may be
the largest reserves in the world, bigger than Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Drugs, who cares?
And for those of you who think, it's just a crackpot and the buzzkill, just talking about all these conspiracy theories, I have one for you. A United Nations report just came out about the white helmets in Syria. I believe we have discussed many times how it looks like they were just faking the gas at the sarin attacks. And the only domestic news channel I could find to report on it was One America News, which has a very unprofessional read, but you'll get the details.
At least 40 members of the terrorist-linked White Helmets have admitted they staged fake chemical attacks to provoke retaliation against the Syrian government. Members of the group, who won an Oscar for their Netflix documentary, came out in recent interviews for a study presented to the United Nations and confessed they had, in fact, faked the attacks.
The Academy should take that award back.
According to Maxim, why don't they?
Because this report will never. Listen to the report. You'll never hear about it again.
Faked the attacks. According to Maxim Grigoriev, the director for the Foundation of the Study of Democracy, the White Helmets provided a detailed description of the methods commonly used by their organization to fake the scenes. The admissions came after a thorough fact-finding mission carried out in Syria, which uncovered numerous members of the terrorist-affiliated group, as well as dozens of other actors who took part in the fake attacks. Grigoriev explained the participants were often innocent bystanders who were taken advantage of by the White Helmets. Many were living in poverty and agreed to participate just to earn a few dollars to buy food for their families. A woman recounts how the White Helmets members gave her a white sheet to wrap around herself and says she was then told to lie motionless on the ground. She was even instructed to fill her mouth with toothpaste so she would appear to be choking on chemical weapons.
Excellent.
Another man says he was told to close his eyes and play dead while the White Helmets filmed him being taken to a hospital. And in Douma, the site of last year's chemical attack near Damascus, a White Helmets member says that local children were given candy as a reward for acting like they were sick on camera.
All right.
Yeah, they should have won an Oscar then.
Yeah, the wrong category. That was the documentary. It should have been best acting by a group or ensemble.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
You know, it's too bad that these people don't get a chance to listen to No Agenda. We could tell them that next time this happens, they should ask for SAG minimum.
Yeah, scale. You know, they could probably you could get double scale for a risk factor.
Especially if you're having to choke on toothpaste.
But most importantly, they need to get in the union so they can get their retirement benefits.
Yeah, and free DVDs. Baron Latikin is at the top of our list to thank on for show 1134. He came in with $178.67, followed by Abby Vensky. It's pronounced like Vensky. Okay. I should also know how to pronounce Wauwatosa, Wisconsin. Abby Vensky in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin. She says she wants to wish her very awake fiancé, Brad Horowitz, a happy 33rd this last Monday. Thank you for keeping Brad sane with your 2X Week podcasts.
Yep, we will put him on the list.
He's on. Vensky. Jeffrey, by the way, I like these people that send a little pronunciation hints.
It helps.
Well, yeah, if you got a name like Vensky. Jeffrey Breyer, $102.38. What was that? $102.38.
Is this still this thing you're concerned about?
What?
Well, you were concerned about something, and you keep mumbling about what was that. I mean, are you okay over there?
This was the mic stand. I'm unlike you. I have a mic stand, and with a boom on it.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I guess this wasn't really shown in the picture of my studio that I put in the newsletter.
It was obfuscated by your ham radio rigs.
Yes, I had plenty of them. And so there's a lot of wires on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the stand gets on top of them and then it falls off.
Okay.
Where is Jeffrey Breyer, $102.38.
Oh, and he says $51.19 is enough for all you guys do, so I doubled it, even if it's nearly 150 Canadian pesos. He wants to call his brother out, Kevin, as a douchebag. And I will remind everyone that for both Scandinavia and Australia, we will accept $200 in your own currency as an associate executive producership, $200 US, even though you fall very short. But that's the brotherly thing to do.
Yes, because at one time their numbers were higher than ours.
That's right, and yes,
if you remember during the Iraqi War.
Yep, and we benefited from that, so we're giving back.
Well, I don't know if we benefited. Boss von Bruegel, $100. Parts unknown, but he's in Deutschland. Keep up the amazing work, Adam. Adrian Ramos, $84. Dino in Alberta, Canada, $75. And I do have a note. And I kept this note to read because it's a little long. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Maybe I will, but I just thought it was an interesting note. It was written.
When you say that, when you say it's a very long note, I won't read it, but maybe I will. Do you know who you sound like? You sound like Trump.
I sound like Trump?
When you say that, it's a very long note. Maybe I'll read it. Maybe I won't. Maybe I will. I don't know. It's just a Trump moment.
Stupendous note. It closed the check for $75 Canadian, which is my Alberta Climate Leadership Adjustment rebate. It's money that Dino spent on something in Alberta. I received the check a few weeks ago and immediately thought I'd donate it to the best podcast in the universe, where John talked about our climate tax and rebates. It inspired me to get off the couch and send it to you. Although I seriously doubt that the climate tax will save the planet.
This is a great idea.
I'm sure that donating this rebate to the No Agenda show will be healthy for my amygdala.
This is a great donation idea.
It's a great donation.
What is the amount?
It was 75. Where is it?
75.
Yeah, $75 Canadian.
Okay.
That was his rebate check for.
That's the new standard.
The scam tax.
Yeah.
The climate tax.
That's the new standard.
Tax.
New standard for Scandinavian donations.
Yeah. These rebates are paid out 4 times a year, so there might be more coming your way. However, Jason Kenney, the newly elected premier of Alberta, campaigned on eliminating the tax. My feeling is that Kenney won't cancel the provincial tax, but will stop the planned increases, since the feds will just step in and tax us directly anyway. So in other words, these checks will keep coming, and Kenney's full of crap, according to this guy. Regarding we talked a lot about that. Regarding the recent provincial election here in Alberta, the fact of the matter, quote unquote, is that even though the climate tax gets a lot of discussion, deeper and more sinister shenanigans are afoot. A week before the election, a report from the Canadian writer Vivian Krause was heavily promoted. It accuses and provides proof that various climate change and environmental groups of being sponsored by American foundations and business interests. Their goal is to kill the Alberta energy business by landlocking our oil and gas reserves, driving down the price of a barrel of crude. No surprise to many of us, but big news to others. Kenney made it part of the campaign, and in his election night victory speech called out the Rockefeller Brothers Fund, the Tides Foundation.
Nice.
Look that one up, our favorite.
Yeah.
Lead Now and the David Suzuki Foundation and others. Since 2015, of course, we got none of this news down here. We do now. Since 2015, hordes of climate crisis activists have infiltrated our provincial and federal government. So I wonder, is there any collusion? It may be old news now, but I can get clips if you want them. Yes, of course.
Yeah, of course we want clips.
Yeah, if possible, could we please get some jobs karma for the folks here in Alberta?
Yeah, we'll put it there.
It's been estimated almost 130,000 jobs related to the oil and gas industry have been lost since the NDP and the Liberal Party of Canada took over our government. Here's hoping that the UCP can get our economy back on track, and here's hoping that Trudeau and his Liberals get sent packing after leadership election in October of this year. Thanks for
as we say to all the Canadians, I'm sorry for your challenge. I must have gotten 10 emails from people saying Trudeau is high. There's no such thing as Canades. So thanks. I thought it was a nickname or something. Canades. But we call you Canades now, and I'm sorry for your challenge.
Oh, God. All right, onward. Sir Patrick Coble comes in with 73.
Hey, Cobell.
Patrick Cobell.
Oh, he needs travel, speech, and travel home karma. I got it. I'm going to give that to him right now. Come on, it's Patrick Coble, man. Are you kidding me?
You've got karma.
Earl? Is he Earl? Duke? What is he?
He's up there. Make sure that the travel or the Alberta karma comes in at the end.
Sure.
Martin Tillman, 69-69. Sir Jim Zuckel, 69-69. Sir Gott Nate in Sebastopol, 69-69.
Sir Jim Zuckel at the end will do F cancer karma for his sister, of course.
Yes, absolutely. Peter Chong in Lakewood, Washington, 6767. Sir Gabe of San Francisco. Sir Gabe. 6660. Sam Connor, 60. Robert Bruckner, 5555. Scott McNabb, 55. He's got some birthday coming up. Eugenia Rockwell, 5119. These are 5119 was a special donation for today's show. This was
the May
Day
1st
donation.
Scott McNabb needs a de-douching, so I'd like to give that to him.
You've been de-douched.
Because as we've seen, when we don't do it,
whistle now.
When we don't do it, people.
So here's the people who helped us. Name and location 5119 Eugenia Rockwell, MWE Tushenbrook. And he's got a little thing in Dutch here.
Well, he's been listening to me on the radio since 1981, and he says, now it's no agenda. I'm still listening. Thank you.
I did a million, yeah. William Alston in Baltimore, Maryland. Chris Ritger in, Meeteetse, Wyoming.
I think it's Meeteetse.
Meeteetse.
Is it your teats or my teats?
Paul in Renton, Washington. Ben Todman, Brian Burgess. We want to thank these folks, by the way. And Sir Paul from Twickenham, UK. Now, there's not a lot. Not a lot of people jumped on that one, but we did get those. Sir Chris Sundberg, $51 in Mercer Island. The following people are $50 donors, name and location. Jeremy Cartwright, who's in Rockford, Illinois. Esmerella Gack, who we talked about earlier, in Ripon, Wisconsin. Michael Janowski in Lindora, Pennsylvania. Bradley Ledin, parts unknown. Andrew Oxenham, Blake, or Blake, as he'd be called. Harper.
And he needs
Maxine Waters Gravel is back. Every show.
Hold on, Blake needs a de-douching.
You've been de-douched.
And I presume you really need a de-douching. But yes, Maxine Waters Gravel, ever since the gravel came on the scene, invoked into life by Mnuchin, the gravel has just been so beneficial to us.
And it asks, can you ask John to take me to the Seattle meetup? There's a code there for something. I thought I'd read it for people out there who need to hear it.
I prefer the pronoun gravel.
Holk, Holyk in Toronto. A lot of Torontonians today. Sir Brian Watson in Raleigh, North Carolina. Aichi Kitagawa in San Francisco is our last producer for this segment. I want to thank all these folks and people who donate lesser amounts. To show 1134. You keep us going.
Yes, and Samantha needs, he's on the list, happy 30th to her sexy boyfriend, Eric McKay. And I had something else. Yes, special Dame Karma. Adam and John, hoping you will break for me as I need your help. I know the power of the karma, as last year I asked for health karma when I was diagnosed with diabetes. I now have that completely under control and don't need any meds. So thank you for that. Well, you don't thank us. Now I need karma again, not for me, but for my lovely husband, who has the second job interview for a position as a mainframe DBA. Wow, old school. He really needs this job, so may we ask for some jobs karma? I would be so very grateful, as he's getting a little bit restless hanging around the house since he was made redundant from his last job in September. The mainframe jobs don't hang on trees, she says. Lots of love, Dame Dane. Of course we'll do that. And I'm glad everything's well with you. And while we're at it, let's talk about the meetups. We already thanked Daniel for noagendameetups.com. We have quite the list. May 2nd, that would be today, is the Seattle meetup. Let us know how that goes. I wonder if they're doing it after the show? Yeah, it must be. May 4th in Baltimore, Maryland. Also the 4th, Flint, Michigan, Part 1 and Part 2. May 5th, the Brussels, Belgium meetup. The 18th, Cincinnati, Ohio. May 25th, Eastern North Carolina and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And again, on June 6th, if you miss it on the 2nd, another meetup in Seattle. And on June 8th, Oklahoma City. Go to noagendameetups.com to get all the information. Or start your own, actually. And I really want to thank everybody who, all the producers who helped us with the show today. Good notes, good information. I like that. I like it when we have stuff to talk about during the segment. And appreciate the value you are getting out of this, because you're showing it to us, and we really appreciate that. Please, everyone else who didn't, you know that you're less than 1% of the entire production audience. Go to
Dvorak.org/NA as
requested.
Fucking cancer! Fucking cancer!
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Brand new month, 2nd of May, 2019. Here's your birthday list. Sir Chris Ruddy says happy birthday, of course, to his son Ben. It would have been his birthday. Abby Vensky, happy birthday to her fiance Brad Horowitz. He turned 33 on the 29th. Scott McNabb will be celebrating on the 6th. Samantha Holick says happy birthday to her sexy boyfriend Eric McKay. And our very own Eric the Shill from the back office says happy birthday to his smoking hot wifey Danelle, who celebrates on the 4th. Happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe.
It's your birthday, yeah.
We have a knighting, which I'd like to do. Let me see. No, we have a daming. Haha. Did we read her note? Did we read a Kim Smith note? John? Did we miss it? That's interesting.
There was a note, I remember. Let me see if there's something I printed.
Because maybe she closed out the gap and I don't see it. Or
yeah,
maybe
I
she
think
just
that would be it.
Or maybe she just counted it all up and
I got no.
I want to make sure if she had a note that we give it to her. And this would be Kim Smith, no?
Is it Smith?
Yes, Smith.
Well, now you can play the jingle.
Okay. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We cannot do a daming without finding the appropriate notes. That means we head over to the latest technology. If you're in 1975, it is the one and only Squirrel Mail. John C. Dvorak can get any note from that thing. He can pull up any type of information. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is the one and only Squirrel Mail.
Funny because I got a bunch of Kim Smith emails, but they're here it is.
It worked.
It came under K-A-L Smith. It's a good thing I looked under Smith. Hi, gents. I do not recall exactly when my husband hit me in the mouth, but I can tell you that it was at some point prior to the show where Adam mentioned the time he nearly singed his nads while smoking on the toilet.
Oh, this is a long time ago. She's an old school listener.
I don't even remember this.
I do. Something you don't forget.
For whatever reason, I do not forget things like that. Well, neither does Adam, apparently. Thanks, Adam, she says. On show 1133, my smoking hot hubby, surreptitious Knight of the Marin Headlands, provided a birthday 8008 donation towards my damehood. Prior to the 420 birthday gift, he recently informed me that all donations he's made since his knighting on show 1000 also received via an 8008 donation.
Oh.
See a preoccupation here. Are being counted towards my damehood. Now, that's just good husbanding. Husbanding. Turns out the birthday boobs donation he thought would bring me close to damehood has brought me right up to the round table. Did I mention the guy is smoking hot?
Mm-hmm.
Attached is my donation spreadsheet. Please dame me Dame Moneypenny of the Frequently Annoyed.
All right. You ready?
I would truly enjoy... here's another one. Get your pencil.
Oh.
I would surely enjoy barbecued oysters and Anchor Steam at the round table.
Barbecued...
haven't had Anchor Steam on there before.
Oysters and Anchor Steam?
Yeah, Anchor Steam. It's the
Nice.
finest, one of the earliest of the fabulous microbreweries.
Fab. Okay.
Not small. And if a jingle is in order, please consider Give It Up for Raven. Charlie Rose DNA followed by a goat scream. Well, there's no, I don't know. We'll save that maybe. I cannot thank the both of you enough for the many hours of sanity you provide for us each week. I also find the quality of the contributors or the contributions by many of the producers entertaining and inspiring. I have no doubt someone out there is reworking the Spandau Ballet song. Thanks in advance for the many triggers it will create. And thank you for your courage. Kim Lewis Smith, Northern California.
All right. Well, if you can grab your blade, I'll grab mine.
Got it right
and
here.
We'll do a special thing this time.
Straight from Reseda, here she is, Raven. Give it up.
Tell me about this sexuality. It's in your DNA.
Smith, step right up to the podium. Thank you very much for your support of the best podcast in the universe, the amount of $1,000 or more. That gives you the opportunity to take a seat at the round table. We have all of our knights and dames, and I am very proud to pronounce the case the Dame Moneypenny of the frequently annoyed. For you, by request, barbecued oysters and anchor steam. We've got hookers and blow, rent boys and Chardonnay. Fun for the whole couple, maybe the whole family. Crawfish and cane breaks. We got Dr. Pepper and a quick handy kebab and Persian wine. Redheads and ryes, organic macaroni and plasticizers. Beer and blunts. Cowgirls and coffin burnish. Bong hits and bourbon. Sparkling cider and escorts. Ginger ale and gerbils. And, of course, as always, the mutton and mead, which everybody seems to enjoy. And thank you again, Dame Moneypenny, for your support of the best podcast in the universe. Oh, that's a little low. And I need to remind you to go to noagendanation.com/rings, and that is where you can give Eric the shill. All of your info will get the ring out to you as soon as possible.
Title changes.
There we go.
Turn and face the slaves. Title changes. Don't want to be a douchebag.
Upgraded title today. Sir Timothy of the No Fix title becomes a baron and becomes the Baron of the Upper Peninsula in Michigan. Congratulations. And again, thank you for your aggregated support of the No Agenda show. Cannot do it without all of you. And we enjoy doing it. And as John said earlier, we'd probably also go insane if the show didn't exist. So it's helpful all around. And remember to support us for our other Thursday show on Sunday at Dvorak.org/NA. Woo! Okay. Oh, and what did I have? Did I have something here?
Well, I do have a note to read.
Oh, okay.
This is from producer Anonymous. I just heard show 1133, and would like to extend some of my knowledge on the above subject as of some standing. I actually drove one of those cars on a nightly basis in the police department that I work for in the Bay Area. Now, we're talking about license plate readers. That was the title of the email. The LPR license plate reader record the plate, obviously, in a smaller JPEG photo and the GPS location of the hit. The data is then uploaded to the California-wide database in California, which is only accessible to law enforcement agencies. For instance, if I want to access a plate as a local cop, I need legitimate reasons, including a crime, aka a crime I'm investigating, like fraud, kidnapping, domestic violence, you name it. Reference numbers for the investigation, etc. What we all need to watch out for is private license plate readers, which are becoming a very real thing.
That's a business. That's a good business.
I've seen many private. Yes, it's a great
I'm thinking about this. That's a good idea.
There you go, exit strategy. There goes that one guy who won't donate. I've seen many private entities going out and placing these on their properties. These private vendors then manage the data. I would assume that they have the ability to sell whatever data they may have to whomever will pay for it, which definitely is not local state law enforcement at this stage of the game. Many repos, credit companies, etc., contract with these vendors who have their own mobile tow truck license, plate readers, and mounted readers on private shopping malls, business lots, etc. So if you had any cop questions, you can ask him. So what these guys do is apparently they go out looking for repos and deadbeats and all these things that the law enforcement won't deal with, and because it's not their job. And so they've set up the kind of it's like a vigilante operation.
Huh. Yeah, there's so much collection. It was, I still don't have.
They're doing. Here's another one. Somebody's doing private. Maybe this is done by the city of Oakland. It might be the city of Oakland, but they go, if you park your car at the Oakland airport, your license plate, every license in the whole giant parking lots are scanned, looking for people that are violating anything possible. Outstanding warrants. If you have an expired tag, this happened to me. That's why I know. I had an expired tab, and I ended up come back from my trip, and I go into the airport parking lot. And there's a ticket. You got a ticket.
Huh? Because they scanned you?
Yeah, they went apparently and they scanned all these things, and bing, boom, there I was with a expired tag, and I get a ticket.
I still don't have mailbox sorted out. And I've gotten a lot of helpful information from people. And one of our producers, she said, I've been waiting for it to pop up. So I think she's in, I don't know if she was in real estate. I have to look it up again. And she says, oh, yeah, no, look at this link. And it's just one of these sites, like findaperson.com or whatever the heck it is. John, every address I've lived at back to 30 Glen Road, Verona, New Jersey, with every phone number accurate.
Yeah.
Up until my last place of residence.
Yeah, you have to pay like $50 a month to get that stuff unless you got a free month or a free day.
Well, she just sent me a link. I was like, this is crazy. There is no such. In fact, I don't get U.S. Postal Service, but I do get FedEx and UPS because they apparently can find the address. But none of them ring the doorbell. They knock. And so I finally asked one of them, if you ring the bell, I might hear it because I'd missed the guy at a return. And I said, no, I don't do that anymore because I don't want to be recorded. I said, all these doorbell things. These doorbell cameras.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't want, even though they're probably being recorded anyway, they hate it.
Yeah, no, they are.
Yeah,
Mimi was bitching about that. She's got a Ring. She just installed one on the house up north.
Yeah.
And she says, I don't know if you tell this story.
You got to tell the story now.
She says apparently it records when she goes out to take the garbage out. It records her coming and going, and then it makes a clip and then sends it to her by email. And she's got all these clips of herself.
Yeah.
Walking in, and when she first saw the clip, she says, "Who the hell is that woman that's hanging out in the front?"
These companies let law enforcement into your cameras. They have almost an open pipeline. So, this is not as the OTG specialist in our little No Agenda family, I would recommend she get rid of this device.
I have discussed this exact same thing with her.
Okay. Well, good.
And she said no. And I said, well, the cops are looking. She said, I don't care. What difference does it make? She's one of those.
Yeah, that's how it starts.
Yeah, well.
So you told her you're no longer visiting? Is that the idea?
I said, I'm not getting. Well, if that's the case, she says, I'll keep it for good. I'll get a second.
Hey-o! I'll get one on the back door. Yeah, it's gotten pretty bad. It's really gotten pretty bad. All right.
By the way, if the police can get access to the stream, or take a look at the videos, that means a criminal can too. That's the problem.
Oh, easily.
So a criminal can watch her comings and goings. Oh, she's back. Oh, she's back.
Gone.
Oh, she took off.
Yep, she's out now. She's gone.
Of course, having a Fila dog in the house keeps will teach somebody a lesson.
In one of those Venezuelan dogs?
Yeah, Brazilian.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to be careful. They can turn on you and kill you.
Yeah, well, I don't think that's going to happen.
Or a glitch could kill you.
Computer troubles for some big airlines yesterday. A glitch involving booking and check-in systems at American, Alaska, and JetBlue. Some travel delays. Passengers couldn't get their boarding passes. That's a problem. The ticketing company behind the glitch, Sabre, apologized on Twitter, fixed the problem by yesterday afternoon. Okay, it's over.
I cannot believe that and this is what, Fox Business News? Shame on you, glitch. I mean, why don't you just read headlines from Twitter? Don't even bother doing news anymore. It's a glitch.
Well, that'd be CNN.
Well, their ratings are showing it. No, they're not doing it. They can't even do that right.
No.
And I did just have to, because we haven't really touched on it, on the Extinction Rebellion in the UK. We've had, some clips. Yes, you had a clip. Don't get all excited. I have an extended clip for today. These are the people who say that we need to immediately take action, and they are taking action. They've blocked off the London Stock Exchange.
Their action is to screw things up.
And they've been, one woman glued her breasts to the pavement.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yes, I don't know how smart these people are.
Let it happen! It was Britain's biggest civil disobedience protest in decades.
I don't know if that's true, but we'll just take it from them.
Bringing climate change to the heart of political debate.
Hold on. Stop the clip. What did she say?
The biggest.
And you said I don't know that's true.
We'll hear it again.
They had these student protests about the tuition that they had to invent kettling because it was completely out of control. And she says this.
Yep. Let it happen! It was Britain's biggest civil disobedience protest in decades.
Yeah. I don't think that's true at all.
It's not true. It's not even close to true.
But it makes you pay attention.
Bringing climate change to the heart of political debate.
I think the situation is certainly a grave one. And I think that the most important thing is to ensure that our government acts. Politicians should be judged on actions, not words. We should show that we're making a difference rather than simply telling everyone how important it is to change.
But Extinction Rebellion activists were left disappointed when Environment Secretary Michael Gove failed to declare a climate emergency. So on Tuesday, their leader was already warning Reuters there was more non-violent civil disobedience to come, like refusing to honour personal debts.
That would entail a mass refusal of paying off mortgages, student loans.
That's interesting.
I mean, that is just purely my opinion, though. That's what I'll be saying when we're talking strategy, that I think that's the kind of way to go. Oh. And actually, what we want is, with all of this, we don't want to be in a battle, really. We want the institutions that we're all part of to wake up and go, you know, which is happening, the financial institutions, businesses going, we just can't carry on as we are, so what are we going to do that's different?
Why not?
Bradbuck said a mass debt refusal would, quote, turn the financial system upside down. Reuters' Matthew Green is following the story.
Clearly the movement's going through a lot of internal debate at the moment and deciding how they can make the biggest impact after surprising everybody, I think, even themselves, with the amount of support and attention they gained over the last few weeks. Many people say that it's unrealistic to rapidly decarbonise the economy, but Extinction Rebellion is arguing it's not about what's realistic, it's about what has to happen to avoid the most apocalyptic scenarios found in peer-reviewed climate science.
The challenge for Extinction Rebellion...
This was my favorite. Peer-reviewed climate science. Are you kidding me? These are models, man. These are models.
Rapidly decarbonise the economy. But Extinction Rebellion is arguing it's not about what's realistic. It's about what has to happen to avoid the most apocalyptic scenarios found in peer-reviewed climate science.
The challenge for Extinction Rebellion is getting more people and those in power to agree with that view.
Rebellion! Extinction Rebellion!
Well, this happened in New York, too.
Ah.
I have a clip.
Oh.
My clip's a little less... It doesn't have the one factor which I thought was quite interesting. Don't pay your bills.
Yeah. This is don't pay your mortgage. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, what could possibly go wrong?
Get foreclosed, become homeless. I mean, what kind of logic is this? This is, to me, this whole thing at this point with all these crisis rebellion. What is this thing?
It's the
Extinction Rebellion. All these protests and all these marches that are really hurting commerce. This is the monster that's been created by the left. They deserve this. So here is what's happening in New York City.
Arrested 7 nonviolent protesters Tuesday as they peacefully blocked access to Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer's Manhattan office. The youth activists with the Sunrise Movement are calling on the Senate Minority Leader to endorse the Green New Deal, a resolution calling for a transformation of the U.S. economy by funding renewable energy while ending U.S. carbon dioxide emissions by 2030.
I'm willing to get arrested and put my body on the line for the Green New Deal because it means the bodies of all of the people who are being affected by the climate crisis. We are here demanding that Senator Schumer sign on to a Green New Deal. Stand with us, Chuck Schumer.
Activists with the Sunrise Movement say they've asked Senator Schumer to convene town hall meetings to discuss his climate plan, but say their requests have been rebuffed or ignored. This is Araceli Jimenez, a resident of Brooklyn's Sunset Park neighborhood.
I have lived in Sunset Park since I was 4 years old. It is a low-income, immigrant community of color, and it was ravaged by Hurricane Sandy. So I have seen what the climate crisis is going to do. what it's already doing to communities like mine all across this planet. And when our Senate Minority Leader refuses to co-sponsor the only plan on the table that is going to address the crisis at the scale that science and justice demand, then that is unacceptable. I will not stand for it, and neither should you.
Hold on. That's not the only plan on the table.
Oh, yeah. No, it is. You're not paying any attention, chump.
Hey, Beto
That's the only plan on the table. We must do it now. We have to stop all carbon dioxide. That means stop breathing.
Beto has a plan.
Well, Beto's out of the picture.
Beto's got a $5 trillion plan.
Do you see the oil and gas industry as an opponent in that? Won't you have to fight them? Won't you have to declare yourself in opposition to their interests?
Well, I think the short answer is yes, in some significant way. We know that certain oil and gas corporations have been fighting public policy on this issue, have been hiding their own science and research at the expense of our climate and human life. So wherever those two things come in contrast or in opposition, I'm always going to choose the people of this country. Having said that, I want to make sure that those who work in the oil and gas industry, those who work in the fossil fuel industry are brought along as partners to make sure that we make this transition in the 10 years that we have left to us, as the science and scientists tell us.
So first of all, he's bringing the oil and gas partners. And he's right, because if you really want to go to wind and solar, you need to treble your gas electricity generation capacity. So he's saying
industry are brought along as
I'm sorry, I'm not following the message.
Partners to make sure that we make this transition in the 10 years that we have left to us, as the science and scientists tell us, to make the kind of bold change that we need. We cannot afford to alienate a significant part of this country. We cannot do this by half measure or by only half of us. It can't be Democrats versus Republicans, big cities versus small towns. We all have a shared interest in a cleaner future for this country.
Blah, blah,
so
blah.
I'm going to work with, listen to everyone, anytime, anywhere, to make sure that we advance this agenda and get to zero net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050.
No. That is not going to fly.
You know, the funny thing is his cadence has been slowly changed since he can't hear Obama a lot anymore, because it used to be when he ran against Cruz, it sounded like Obama a little bit, tried to make his Obama sound. Now he sounds like a robot. His cadence is just you can't listen to it for very long.
Yeah, he's very nervous now. He can't really get anything out. He's wearing suits and ties. It's probably cutting off his circulation.
And the tie. Everyone knows that a tie around the neck, especially if you tie it properly, it cuts your blood to the brain, and you would slowly become an idiot. Very common knowledge.
And with that handy no agenda tip, we will leave you for today's deconstruction, but we'll be back in just a matter of days on Sunday, the other Thursday in the week. And we'll bring you another 2, 3, hours and hours of entertainment. Hope you found something valuable today. If you did, we'd appreciate you to send some value our direction, Dvorak.org/NA. And coming to you from the frontier of Austin, Texas, it is the capital of the Drone Star State, here in FEMA Region Number 6 on all governmental maps. Remember, Dvorak.org/NA. Until next time, in the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where the Zephyr was on time and we were on time, I'm John C. Dvorak.
Once again, Dvorak.org/NA. Until Sunday, everybody, we say adios, mofos, and such. Thanks to Donald Winkler, Jesse Coy Nelson, Sir Chris Wilson, Vinnie Payne, and Brian Longenecker for our end of show mixes.
Mailbox has gone away. They say I don't exist. I'm getting pretty pissed.
No mail today, postmaster's passed the buck. I told him of my plight, he doesn't give a fuck. How could they know just what this really means? Non-existent address, much worse than it seems. How can they find my house out in the burg when it's not on the computer but the number's on the curb? No mail today and no delivery. They've misplaced my address, no wonder I'm depressed.
That's true.
That's true. That's true. That's true. That's true. That's true. That's true. That's true.
That's true. That's true.
That's true. That's true. That's true. That's true.
Collectives still survive. So that the birds can flourish.
That's true.
Collectives still survive.
That's true.
So that the birds can flourish.
That's true.
That's true. So that the birds can flourish, so that the mammals can flourish, so that all life can flourish.
That's true.
The collectives still survive.
That's true.
And really, we think that that would be the gentler choice, somebody is saying.
Yeah,
that it would be gentler to simply back to that which is sustainable. And
that's true.
That's true.
That's true. That's true.
That's true.
Thanks, Obama.
John C. Dvorak, they'll deconstruct the news for you. Adam Curry and John C. Dvorak, that is what they came here to do.
That's true. That's true.
We need to kill them. We need to kill them. Bomb them, bomb them, bomb them, and bomb them again, eh? We need to kill them. We need to kill them. Bomb them, and bomb them again, eh? And bomb them again, eh? Bomb them, and bomb them again, eh? And bomb them again, eh? Bomb them, and kill them. Bomb them, and kill them. Bomb them again. Bomb them again. We need to kill them. Bomb them again. Bomb them again. We need to kill them and bomb them again.
The best podcast in the universe.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Mr. Chairman, move the table.
Mr. Chairman, I move to amend.
Clerk,
Mr. Chairman, I move to adjourn.